You want a piece of me, boy?
Nuclear launch detected.
Hello everyone, Funker here. I'll be walking you through the process of buying our special StarCraft 2 Nation Wars 5 items. The 5th edition of the National Team-based tournament will offer special in-game items and an exclusive t-shirt. Thanks to our partners, Matcherino and Blizzard, you'll be able to show your support for your country and the tournaments inside and outside of game. Here is how you do it. First, connect to matcherino.com/NW5. You will be warped into this page. Click on Sign in the top right and choose your preferred account to link to Matcherino. It can be your Battle.net, Facebook, Google, Twitch, or even Twitter accounts. Now, scroll down the page and select the package you want. In terms of in-game items, you can buy any of the 32 national portraits to represent the country you love, support, or wish you were born in. I see you South Korean portrait buyers. These portraits are at $2.47 and 30% of this will go to increase the price pool of Nation Wars 5. You can get as many portraits as you want, but if you are a true hardcore fan of Nation Wars, we got you covered. The complete bundle for StarCraft 2 Nation Wars 5 will cost you $18.59 and will offer the entirety of the 32 national portraits as well as the 4 emoticons and 3 sprays created for the tournament. All of those are designed by the talented Nicolas Chaussois. Once again, 30% of the price will go to the prize pool. Last but not least, if you want to represent StarCraft 2 Nation Wars 5 in real life, like a boss, you can get your exclusive t-shirt designed by Nicolas Chaussois for $23.57. Once you selected the item you want, click on it. Select your region in the top right, the quantity you wish to acquire, add a contact email, type in the amount of money you need to pay for your items, and click on deposit. From there, you'll be able to use your PayPal account to add the required funds to your Matcherino profile. Once it's done, go back to the Matcherino page, check the tiny box to agree with the terms of service, and click on purchase. You made it! As the stretch goal will get closer, some surprises will be unlocked for you guys. Visit the main page of Nation Wars on Matcherino to check this out. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to visit the description section of the page. You'll find plenty of useful information about all the process of buying Nation Wars 5 items. Enjoy the StarCraft 2 Nation Wars 5!
I can't hear you.
Right, it's coming in now, maybe?
I hear Jess.
Talk again?
I don't hear you.
Nope, just kidding. Hey guys, welcome to Nation Wars 5. Make sure to click on the tiny box.
Got your t-shirt like a boss. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So everyone works besides Hajin. I think it's because Hajin had a karaoke session while we were
that's actually probably what broke it.
Yeah. I mean, those notes you were hitting, Hajin, I'm not sure if the microphone was ready for it.
He denied me. Okay, it's back now. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Sorry for the delay. So there was an unexpected maintenance, but now everything's fine. And I think the players are ready to play, and our casters too.
We are ready.
We're ready to cast, yeah?
Yeah, it's gonna be Brazil against Finland, and we have the captaincy for the interview before. Let's talk about our predictions.
What did I predict? I think I predicted a 4-1.
I did. Oh, I 4-2. I thought maybe Sarah would go last. Based on what happened.
Yeah, I went for a 4-1. Last time Cyril didn't start, but he got second. I mean, it gets tricky, but it's just you're talking about Cyril here. I mean, we can praise him in every single way we want in the English language, and we probably still undersell him then because Cyril's he's amazing, Hajin.
Yeah, it's not a miracle per se, but it's just anyone that dominates this hard on any scene is just usually unheard of. So.
Could we say he's the best foreigner player right now?
Yes.
I think most people will absolutely agree with that statement. Obviously, it's always up to debate, and some people like to focus more on certain tournament results than others. Seems
really
like
close.
yeah, the people. I mean, the Brazilians are pretty fanatic though online in every community, not just in StarCraft. They love their nation. They love voting for them. So I'm happy to see that. And obviously, it's important that the Brazilians are in good spirit. But if it would truly be that close, if it would be a 4-3 either way, well, calling me impressed already.
Okay, well, here we go for the interview. We have the captains here with us. We have Sarah for Finland and Kalazer for Brazil.
Do we though?
Yeah.
Do we though? I think that they actually explained this meme a little bit at SC20 because I was reading the Reddits and people were like, "Is it though?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh my god, it finally made it!"
Yeah, so let's take a closer look to the lineup first.
Okay.
And I've done my homework.
Ah, you know about the flags. Somebody said that you were wrong about the red from Poland, by the way.
Oh, that's Google.
Somebody said that it stands
Wikipedia is
for
wrong.
blood and violence that have been shown.
Oh, really? Maybe it was too violent and I got the...
Yeah, you got the PG-13.
So Finland, so white is for snow and the blue is for the lakes and the sky.
Very simple and
It's
straightforward.
Such simple flags in Europe. Jeez. Okay, so Cyril, the guy we talk about just often enough. You should recognize his face by now. Then you have the guy that's name's really hard to pronounce.
Zhuge
Did show himself last time and unable to do too much without the help of Cyril. And then the Mus Zero or the Muse Zero, Themis Zero, something like that. Right?
Yeah, I'm actually quite unfamiliar with the Mazira. I took a look at his recent performances, and he actually took victories over pretty notable players. Players like Puck, for instance, even though that was just a best-of-1. But, you know, being able to beat Puck in a best-of-1, no matter what you did, even if you cannot rush him for all I care, that's pretty impressive. So I assume that he's pretty damn strong, that he's a solid asset to this team. But we can talk as much about the Mazira and Zhuge as we want. In the end of the day, this nation is all about Cero. And, you know, that's how the other nations in this competition look at Finland as well. You know, if you take Cero out of the occasion and you would replace him with anybody else at Top 32 GM, they'd be like, yeah, we would like to play Finland. It's a pretty beatable team. And then you put Cero in the team and they're like, yeah, we probably don't want to play Finland just because of Cero.
Yeah, what's so cool, though, is that he's been in a lot of the Nation Wars. I mean, this guy has been playing since, I mean, he's young still, but he was playing even when he was younger. He was one of the first kind of like, oh, wait, this super young kid might be very good. It didn't really ever, like, amount to, like, enough, basically, to really be on the radar. He took out Jaedong, like, once. But then the last 2 years, suddenly you see, like, okay, now, like, Finland's actually going to be really good.
Yeah, Nation Wars Season 3 was, in a way, almost sort of a breakthrough performance again for Cero. He was excellent back then. He had some fantastic games against Showtime. I still remember it with non-stop Ling run by. Still the same stuff that we kind of see out from him right now, obviously on a whole nother level. But even back then, those games were epic. If you're ever very bored, you go back to Nation Wars Season 3, you take a look at Finland versus Germany, and there's a couple of amazing games between Showtime and Cero back then already.
Okay, so this lineup, so led by Cyril, obviously they're gonna face Brazil, and their captain is Kalazer, and he's with Eric and Turkidano.
Yeah.
It's funny because at the round of 32, Tehran, their sub-player, all killed Bolivia, so we haven't seen yet the other players play.
Yeah, that was a big surprise. Terran comes in as a sub-player, Kalazer was fortunately not available, and then suddenly he just 4-0s for everyone else. But Kalazer is supposed to be the Terran that we talk about getting the all kills. And, I mean, he could do that against a lot of teams, but this group in particular, I mean, maybe against Ukraine, but I think Poland would be hard to do that against, and Cero, it should be impossible to do it against Cero.
Yeah, this is a fun team as well because Eric is one of the better players in the North American scene, especially when it comes to the Zerg department. He's been around for quite some time. You don't see him super often, but he said he's been practicing a lot on the Korean server, so perhaps that spells some very good things for this team. Turkidano is a little bit of a wild card. You know, Terran obviously showed us that he absolutely perhaps belongs in his team, or at least deserves to be top 4 and maybe even top 3. But Turkidano does seem to be in good spirits. He even stopped by at my own stream this morning, so obviously he was getting ready for Nation Wars already. It's going to be fun to watch him play. But the big match, the big story of this Nation War would normally be the games between Kalazer and Cero. Those are going to be some absolutely top-notch quality games when it comes to foreign StarCraft. And if the other players are somehow able to upset one of the aces on this team, well, that would be a surprise.
I can't wait to see Kalazer against Cero. And now we have the interview. I want to ask if it's Kalazer or Eric, the captain of Team Brazil.
Eric was. Oh, I mean, I guess it was last time.
Yeah, Eric did the interview last time.
But it is Kelzer.
Oh.
Today we have Kelzer and Sarah. Hello, guys.
Hello.
Hello. So Kelzer, you're in Korea right now.
No, he's
Is it true?
I think he's in LA. If I know that
yeah,
place, he's in LA.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he's in LA.
Oh, how was your trip in Korea?
Yeah, it was good. I had a lot of fun playing the GSL qualifier.
But you're back already in America, correct?
Yeah, I came back a couple of days ago, so I'm back in the root house.
All right.
Okay, so you had to wait for 2 hours to play. What did you do during these 2 hours? I'm curious. Maybe we could start with Sarah.
Well, I played one game and then rest was just sitting here and waiting, I guess.
Okay.
Was it a good game, Sarah?
Not really. Lost to some Protoss player. Not exactly sure who it was, but not a good game.
Okay.
What's your current rank on the ladder?
I mean, I'm in Masters League now, so...
Really?
No, he's lying.
No.
He hasn't played enough games.
Oh, okay.
He's in a league on his own most of the time.
Do you have any questions for...
Oh, I thought it was a dual plot question. I thought you were asking Kelzer what he did for 2 hours
Oh,
as well.
yeah, sorry. Of course. So what have you been doing?
Right before our match was supposed to start, I played a nice ladder game against Sarah in Biogenesis, so that was pretty fun. And then since the match got delayed for a couple hours, I played a CSGO match with my Nation Wars team.
Oh. Are you good?
Yeah, of course. I'm the best.
What's your rank on CSGO?
I'm the Supreme something, the one right before the Global Elite.
I don't know what that means.
Master League.
Oh, okay.
Master League, just like Sarah.
Impressive.
All right, Diego, my first question is to you. Unfortunately, you couldn't be part of the round of 32, but there was a replacement Terran in the name of Terran, and damn, he really showed up. Were you impressed with his performance?
I mean, I'm always impressed by my teammates. I think they're always better than what most people think. So I feel very happy to see them bringing the results to the streams.
Do you think that they could help you take out Cyril?
I think so. I think a couple of them could be a good old Cyril sniper.
But what could you tell us about Turkey Dano? Because that's kind of the mystery. Obviously, we all know you, and we've been following you for a long time. Even Eric is pretty damn well known. You know, he's been to a couple of the big North American or South American events. But Turkey Dano is a little bit of a question mark for us. So what can you tell us?
So Turkey Dano, he's... I don't know much about him either. Like before Nation Wars, I never heard of him. And I know like every single Brazilian player. But apparently he has dual nationality.
Okay.
And actually he prefers to speak in English with me because his Portuguese is not as good. So he's our natural Brazilian.
Does he live in Brazil though?
I was gonna ask.
No.
Yeah,
I'm not sure where he lives actually. That's a good question.
He's
So what's his
actually
second nationality?
Oh, good.
Oh, sorry,
Answer
sorry.
that.
What's his second
I don't know
nationality?
either.
Oh, okay.
I figured he had a U.S. citizenship as well, because I'm pretty sure he's in college in the U.S. I mean, it's just a guess, though. But yeah, he plays in the college tournament, so yeah. he doesn't
Maybe,
live in Brazil.
and Sarah, maybe a similar question to you, because obviously we know you and we know Zhuge because of all the antics at the previous nationwide seasons. But what could you tell us about Demas Zero? We're not that familiar with him.
I mean, just like Gelaster, I don't know too much about him, but what do I know? He's a newer player. He hasn't been in the Finnish scene for too long, maybe like 1 year now. And I really don't know too much about him, but I think he can take some maps for us. So,
Did you ever have some encounters with him, maybe on the ladder or just in custom games? And what do you feel about his skill level?
I mean, actually, we played some customs with him today, but not too many. And I think, like I said, I think he can take some maps and his skill's not bad.
Okay.
All right. In general, though, are you worried about making it out of this group, or are you really confident? Because most people expect Finland to make it out.
I mean, I'm expecting us to make it out, but obviously it's not that straightforward, as both Ukraine and Brazil has good players. So But we are still expecting to make it out for sure.
All right.
So what are your predictions about this series? Zero.
Mine?
Yes.
Let's say 4-2. 4-2 for us.
Oh. And if you win this, you'll have to face Poland tomorrow. How do you feel about this match?
I think it's going to be a very nice match. And with Laser in Korea, I'm not looking forward for that match. With the lag and link pain control, but otherwise it's going to be a very nice match, I think.
So, Kalazar, what's your predictions for this matchup against Finland?
Well, I think it's gonna be 4-2 for us because I'm not sure if Zhuge Liang can really carry his team. So it's gonna be hard.
Interesting. So, who is starting for you, Kalazar?
We're gonna start with Turkidano.
Oh, Turkey Dino. And for Finland?
We're going to start with Zhuge Liang.
Okay.
Yes, Chukuliang, Turkey Dino.
I have one last question for Diego. That's an awful lot of shoes in the background. Is it busy in the house right now, or what's going on?
I think Cats really likes the shoes, Roddy.
It's all cats?
I would say at least half of them are Cats. Right, Cats?
Is he counting the shoes
I
now?
think it might be.
He's gonna They're the same.
Yeah, he really likes his golden shoes. Yeah.
Yes, twice the same pair of shoes?
Yeah.
I mean, backup shoes.
yeah.
Clearly, everyone has one.
Yeah, you need the backup shoes, right? Just in case one of them gets dirty.
Just in case.
All right, well.
Okay, any last words for your fans before starting the game? Maybe we can start
You go
with
first,
Kalazar.
Jonna.
Oh, Jonna first.
That's me. I'm gonna say... What should I say?
Anything you want in Finnish, in English. Or you can say something to Kalazar like, I'm gonna crash you. Anything you want.
I can't say anything too bad for him, so I'm just gonna say in something in Finnish. Kiitos kaikille faneille ja katsokaa pelejämme.
We.
Good.
And Kalazar?
Just wanna... Well, I already have the support of all the Brazilian fans, so I hope the stream will cheer for us as well, because I think Finland has won too much already. And yeah.
Okay, thank you for
Iskerrata.
Oh, what does it mean?
Jonna knows.
Doesn't mean anything. It's
Okay, guys, thank you for the
Meaningless word.
interview. And good luck for your game. And it's going to be Zhuge Liang against Turkey Dano for the first game.
Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
And it's interesting because the first map is going to be on Abiogenesis.
Yeah. I was curious to hear Kalazar say that he was already playing on that map before where there was a big break. But yeah, Abiogenesis, always a fun one. So that's going to be a ZVP.
Yep. Yeah. I feel that is a map that kind of screams Zhuge Liang to me. He's a different type of Zerg who likes to make a lot of queens or do weird stuff and just spread some creep and run his spine crawler to the other side of the map. I have the feeling this is going to be a little bit of a clown fiesta in the best way possible. I have no idea what to predict of Turkey Dano. I love how well Kalazar is in touch with his teammates, has no idea where he lives, has no idea about the other nationality, and has never played a game with him. But, you know, we've got him here, so let's see if he can make a good impression or not.
Perfect. Yeah, it's going to be, of course, a Protoss game, though, versus Zerg on Abiogenesis. So it's always going to be tough for Turkey Dano, even if he was, like, suddenly the, you know, just awesome player we don't know anything about. He's going to be playing a very difficult situation.
You know what build is really good? Protoss versus Zerg on the Biogenesis. Like, I really hated that map at first, and I was like, there's so many stupid rushes possible, so I don't really want to drop my pylon on the low ground. So I decided to go very old school. I opened 2 gate on top of my ramp, shade first 2 adepts to the other side of the map, and then you make a pylon, and then you make a proxy gateway, and you get proxy shield batteries, and you just straight up 4 gate with proxy batteries.
Oh,
it's really good.
What's your win rate with this build?
I feel like solid 80% at this point. And before that, I was only losing on a Biogenesis. So I think it has potential.
Interesting.
Amazing.
I will try next time.
You have to. You have to. Adapt shield batteries. That's all you need. A little bit of Protoss magic. You sprinkle it over the map and It becomes a little disgusting, is what perhaps the other races would say. But us, Alien Brothers, we think it's art.
So I was just checking, and thankfully Fear Dragon, backs us up with some NA knowledge. And that's, Turkey Dano is teammates with Print F on their college team. I was going to suggest maybe we see some cannon rushing on such a small map, but now we can just find out. We can wait a little while and find out ourselves. In the top left, as the red Brodos, it is Turkey Dano for Brazil.
And there's the Forge, so perhaps this explains how he became teammates with the one and only Print F. Over here in the right bottom side, representing Finland, it is Zugeliang.
All right, fantastic. So, of course, we do have a cannon rush. It's already seen, or at least something mysterious is being seen anyways. And it's not really a question anymore now, kind of thanks to Prenef, I feel. He's really been popularizing the post-cannon rush aspect of cannon rushing, whereas before it was like, oh, cannons didn't work, I guess you GG out. Like, I mean, if he's really learning from Printf, then it's not just about these cannons, it's about the proxy gateways, the proxy shield batteries. Makes it funny.
Robo.
Yeah, that makes it funny that I already brought that up. But yeah, the Robo. And a lot of Zerg players just, they do think the cannons are in, and they do mess up about the follow-up. So I wonder how much Zigling has experience against this.
Ooh, he's even stealing a gas. Now, that's not a move that we see very often in this matchup, and you might wonder, like, why would he steal the gas? Perhaps to prevent, like, very early roaches and ravages. Yeah. Other than that, obviously, most things Zerg could do from one base, but, at least he's kind of forcing a Ling Bane response here, perhaps.
So it's really annoying as, you do need a certain number of Ravagers to really take down the cannons fast enough, especially when they get to be, like, a lot. Which he's not necessarily going for, he's just setting up this gateway. But you take the gas, you also get a little bit of scouting with it. They just make a decision, of course, to, do you try and take it out with the Lings, or do you deal with this first and foremost? But
can we take a look at the main base of Turkey Dano? Okay, he does that's a full wall off, correct? Yeah. All right.
But yeah, he does not necessarily want to get the kill on the hatchery immediately, which is just, it's so typical cannons, but this is not a typical cannon rush. And this is giving Zergling that time where he's probably like, what is your goal, man? Like, why are you doing this?
Yep, we're expecting, of course, a robotics facility to be warped in here, and then potentially a bunch of shield batteries to start healing those Immortals. And Immortals, being powered by a couple of shield batteries is actually pretty damn powerful. Now, this is a very unusual game. Now, most games on the Biogenesis are a little unusual, but not this unusual.
He's putting a lot of spine crawlers. I can't tell if this is how he's thinking on the fly, like this is how you deal with it, or if he has experienced this before. Immortals, of course, are usually pretty expert at breaking down structures in particular. So, is this really the right response? He's also going to float with Lings, which I do actually like more than if he had gone for Roaches and Ravagers, because Roaches just expensive and obviously would die even quicker to the Immortals.
One of these cannons is going to get pushed back. There does go 2 batteries already. 2 batteries being wiped in at this point, and an extra cannon being wiped in as well. But it's all about this Robo, guys. He's going to Chrono Boost out an Immortal as quickly as possible. And then basically it's going to come down to Immortals to just single-handedly pretty much win this game.
Yes, that's what it comes down to. So is Zergling going to be ready? He has a couple of Lings that across the map. Of course, a cannon dealt with them. Now they can be used to help out and trying to break this. If he ever does try and break it. I guess there are a couple of responses, but, with no lair, he really is just looking for the hatchery break. He's going to go forward with spine crawlers here.
Whoa, that's a lot of Zerglings in the mix as well. I actually kind of like this move by Zugeliang, especially with all the spine crawlers. Of course, the shield batteries make this complicated at first, but this is a lot of DPS coming out of our Zerg very early on.
Yeah, the spine crawlers not being targeted, not able to be targeted by the Immortal is a really big deal as more Lings flood in. Finally, the Hardened Shield is popped on that one Immortal. 2 extra shield batteries did finish up, but one of them just goes down. There's no more energy on these other ones, and this looks like a pretty good break.
And I don't see any additional probes on the map, right? And that's obviously a very big deal because potentially you want to move forward. He's got a full wall off, so no probes can actually reinforce this cannon rush anymore. Oh, he tried to do that little... What? Does that work?
He's trying to...
Does that work?
Is this brood work? Oh my god, it does work!
Oh, Turkey Dano, the moves! I love it! But I mean, is it perhaps a little too late as these Immortals do get surrounded? That one cannon is still going strong, though, on the south side.
Yeah, the shield batteries help that just a little bit. Unfortunately, not able to take down all of the spine crawlers. Only one. The Immortals are going to get taken out by the Lings, most likely. I mean, that one Immortal should go down even the spine crawlers at this point.
A little too late, that probe that is, as a few more cannons and shield batteries will get wiped in on the low ground. But this Robo is starting to be very, very exposed, and if you lose the Robo, you kind of lose your real firepower firepower, excuse me, to potentially win this game. As the robot gets unpowered, and he knows it. GG. Zhuge Liang takes the W on a Biogenesis in a pretty interesting chain of effects.
Yeah, I kind of felt like he did know how to deal against that, you know? Like, even with the gas taken, a lot of Zergs still kind of force out the Roaches and Ravagers, thinking that's the immediate way to take it down. And that's when the Immortals have a bit easier of a time. They focus the Immortals, and the Spine Crawlers are up next. But he dealt with that really calmly. He, you know, the amount of Spine Crawlers ended up being kind of perfect. Yeah, I mean, Turkey Dano, it's always fun to see a cannon rusher, but...
I wonder how that would have gone if the probe didn't fall as early as it did, because then you could potentially get another shield battery or so. I love how this is the highlight of the game.
I had no idea this worked in StarCraft, too.
I mean, I know that so it works if you trap your probe in your main base, but I never knew that you could actually squeeze it past a full wall of. I've never really seen it being used like that, so that was the highlight, guys. Great game now. It was pretty fun. I love the attempt, but yeah, Zhuge Liang, like you said, he handled it calm, stayed composed, and did the right thing.
Yeah, which is too bad, because the element of surprise really is what helps with that. And then, of course, you have Prainef with his notebook, his Excel sheet, whatever he uses. You know, he learned from that. But Turkey Dano, perhaps, you know, the protege, he needs to learn a little bit more, and then he'll be back up in the ranks again.
I still like that game because I just learned something new, that even if you apparently have a full wall of on a Biogenesis, you can squeeze a probe through.
I did not, I didn't remember it if I've seen it before.
Yeah. I've only ever seen it like being used in a main base, you know, if you accidentally create like a circle around your gateways and your pylon, then sometimes you drop another pylon, or if you take a gas in your stock. Like, I've seen it being used like that, but never through a full wall off. So thank you, Turkey Dano. You're helping Protoss Brothers out left, right, and center. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. So let's see who's going to be our next player for Brazil.
Eric.
Yeah, in his EVZ.
I mean,
I think Kelazur.
I don't know what Kelazur's feeling like. Kelazur.
I think that he wants to get revenge for Turkey Dano.
Okay. You get revenge for a cannon rusher? Does that happen that often?
Of course. I mean, you got to stick together, right? If you're representing Brazil.
Yeah, of course. He's your teammate, then you got to help him out. All right, so it's going to be TVZ then on, I want to say Backwater, if I remember correctly, but I'm not 100% on that one. So, but the point is, like, we're kind of looking more at the skill, and while Zigling is decent Zerg, Kelazur has kind of been almost the next big Terran. Special definitely took that mantle, but it's like he's not too far behind.
It's funny, right? Because for a while, I actually thought that Kelazur was kind of contesting that like best Terran North America spot, and he perhaps he even took it for a little bit, because he did win a couple of the Copas, and he was able to defeat Juanito a couple times.
I do believe that Special's always had the upper hand in like overall score, but it was close at one point, and then Kelazur also had some bigger hits at tournaments like GSO vs. the World. But that was a while ago, so of course we have the tweets coming in now for, I guess, the Poland game. That was over 2 hours ago now, but
I was thinking about it. I was like, should I bring the puppies up or not? But I was like, let's not go there. That didn't really turn out too great last time. Look, just, you know, sometimes you just think you see a puppy.
Sometimes.
And then it's not a puppy.
And then it's a girl.
It happens. Of course, Poland was able to advance to the winner bracket match earlier in this show, guys, as they took out Ukraine 4-1. A couple of fun games.
Certainly. Yeah. I mean, the game versus Seoul was very interesting.
Oh, it's 4-2, right?
Yes. Yeah. If you didn't watch the game versus Seoul, I actually kind of suggested just as a new way to look at Nidus Worms and Ultras. And then certainly all the Mana games were fun enough as well. So.
Yeah, I thought Mana had a pretty good showing. Good turnaround on Backwater against Bly. Was able to still make things work after a pretty rough start. Mana looked good so far, giving off a good vibe in HOS. Would be amazing if perhaps Mana can get a very big victory tomorrow for Poland against either Kelazur or Serral.
Right.
Most of us are expecting Team Finland to advance here, and they have taken the 1-0 lead. But that is only the first game. Now the ace player from Brazil will step up to the plate. Yeah. I'm excited to see some Kelazur. I really love the build that he showed us at the WCS Global Finals last year with the speed medevac boost.
No.
You don't like it?
No,
I loved it.
Stop trying it. Stop making it a thing.
Ah, it was so cool.
No, I love seeing experimentation, and any new build is always fun to see, but it was so clear like it's not worth it. And Kelazur, I feel like he's done it before. He like brings it back every couple months because he's like, maybe this will work this time, and it never really catches on. So.
I mean, it was against Dark, though, right? Like,
well, yes, of course.
What if it was a lesser Zerg? I still believe.
I just feel like that wouldn't have actually like been the kicker. Just has been everything else in the game that would have done
on a
well.
map, like it's map dependent, but on a map that has very long rush distance on the ground, like Ascension to Ire, I think it's pretty smart.
Actually, I want to describe it a little bit more for anyone who doesn't even know it exists. But first, we'll do the intros here. It is on Backwater. In the bottom right, as the Red Terran for Brazil, it is Kelazur.
And over here on the left top side of Backwater, we're looking in the main base of our Finnish Zerg. It's Zhuge.
Yeah. And as promised, like the speed boost, by the way, there's actually a pull first there. The medevac speed thing it's actually like a surprisingly good upgrade because it doesn't just take away seconds from having to use boost again. It actually, it increases the length of the boost, which in turn also decreases the amount of time needed to wait for the next boost because it starts on the cooldown. So it's actually like, about twice as effective as people would think it is. It just doesn't seem to help enough to really be worth it. Certainly other things from the tech lab can be more helpful. Liberator range, Ravens nowadays, just, I don't know about that. And I think that Kelazur has kind of put that back into his build of books, in the last page. Yeah,
he's just waiting, Jazz. He's going to bust it out again soon.
Yeah, it's been a day.
Today against Cerro.
Yeah, maybe he will. I do give Kelazur a very large chance of winning this game here. Just, I guess he was traveling a little bit, but it seems like he's been back in LA for a few days now, so he should be good to go. And of course, the server's going to be as good as possible with him in the West. Signaling in Europe.
He's been traveling a lot already this year, though. Of course, there was WCS Leipzig for Kelazur. He was at the Intel Extreme Masters Pyeongchang as well. Then he made it to IEM Katowice, went to Korea for GSL. Went to China for over a week for WESG, where he actually lost in the round of 32 against Lambo in the decider match. The last game was actually on Backwater, and all three games looked a little bit silly. They all ended very early on. One time there was too many Lings and Roaches, then it was too many Cyclones and Hellbats, and then the Cyclones and Hellbats got intercepted in the middle of the map. So that wasn't the most pleasant experience of the year for Kelazur, who picks up his first drone here, so that's obviously an excellent way to start. But he does have to deal with these Lings that sneak towards his side of the map.
Yeah, I did not get that single Marine, which would have dealt with his headache, actually. So he just lets the Lings in. There's always that chance the Zerg player stops paying attention and you bring another SCV out and they don't actually catch it, but Zigling is paying attention and won't let that happen. So a big delay in the command center. Oh, wait, no, he did do that. Oh, even I was tricked. Yeah. Scouting SCV. Oh, really? That is a very nice tool then for Kelazur.
And that one SCV almost went down.
Yeah. Almost.
Could have gone for it.
Okay, so Hellions just now for Kelazur. Zigling just had the tricky little pull first, but not really looking to do much beyond it. He does take the third base, though, not in the pocket expansion.
Yeah, going forward. Zhuge is someone who loves his queens, like I said before. He loves to spread it forward as well. But Kelazur is a pretty aggressive Terran overall, and this actually makes it potentially a lot harder to keep that mineral line safe. But maybe Zhuge has no plans of saturating it in the near future. We'll keep a close eye on the amount of units that Zhuge produces. Perhaps this is why he took that forward hatch, Jess. What if Zhuge just wants to get very aggressive? A build we've seen quite a few times on Backwater.
That is possible. It's one of the reasons to take a more aggressive base, especially a Zerg. But he needs units right here, right now. Only a couple of Lings to distract. Actually a decent amount, but they were all bulked up. That was a scary moment as the drones were pulled in one line, but the Queen hold even doing really good work here. Kelazur now has trapped Hellions.
Yeah. There's no way to save them anytime soon. There is an armory on the way as well, so it's actually very likely that Kelazur really did not like losing those Hellions because he likes his little Hellbat Cyclone push on this map that happened in the games against Lambo as well. It's 7 Roaches already on the way for Zhuge, and once again, because he went for that forward hatch, I have the feeling... That's a cool Marine. Thank you, Kev. I have the feeling that he actually wants to be pretty aggressive in this game.
Oh, the drones did on up a little bit, but 3, 2, 1. There's not enough Hellions to really do tons. But this Banshee is very critical here. He's actually going for another Banshee and Cyclones. If Zigling's going to do a Roach push, he's kind of going up against the worst possible build to do so.
Well, I think he is going to do that because he's firing up nothing but Roaches. He's going to end up losing a few more drones here in the main base as the Spore Crawlers are a little bit late, and this is not the way you want to start your Roach Ling potential Ravager rush, as there is a little bit of gas in the bank as well. Now, there is no tank at home, But yeah, the Banshee count is going to be quite high, and there's already a couple of Cyclones and Hellbats waiting for this.
This is a little scary when you underestimate the Ling unit. You know, if you only deal with the Roaches, suddenly floods of Lings are hard to deal with if you don't have Hellions. But he did continue making Hellions, only got the 2 Cyclones. This so far looks like a pretty perfect hold, because he also has this wall, which he really doesn't need to play games with. Okay, he does raise it.
Yeah, it was a little bit risky there. Ooh, one of the Cyclones almost got picked up by Corrosive Ball. The SCVs are going to get pulled to make sure that he can repair these Cyclones in time, but overall this looks very, very dicey for Zhuge. He took a lot of economic damage at home, and it just seems like he doesn't have enough here to do the same amount of damage on the other side of the map.
Yeah, Kelazur does have a 3rd CC, so he can lose quite a few SCVs, which is not even happening.
No.
Finally 2 go down, but the Cyclone's going to live here. 3, maybe 4 SCVs, not even.
That is a very clean hold. That's as clean as they come pretty much against this kind of an opening. I mean, Kelazur made that look easy, had a really good read on the build. Like you said as well, this is not the build that Zhuge really wanted to face with his rush. And it's safe to say that the Finnish Zerg finds himself in a little bit of a pickle now because he's down 17 drones.
Yeah, it's already like kind of bad when you go up against Banshees instead of like a Liberator or maybe even a Medevac. But then the Cyclones being added in, that was just the, you know, perfection basically. And this is not going to do very much as Hellions will continue being produced. I wonder if Zergling was also kind of hoping that Kelazur, typically more well known for his bio, was just going to swap off reactors to barracks. But that clearly isn't the case. Like, he's just continuing to produce, which made those Lings look silly.
How many Banshees do we have out on the map at this
3?
point? Only 2, and there's 1 more on the way. These Cloak Banshees are going to have a field day. I mean, I know there's a couple of Spore Crawlers here and there, but overall the Queen count is not super high at this point. There are 2 Queens in the main. It's safe to say that it's very likely that these Banshees are going to find a couple of openings and will be able to pick up quite a few additional drone kills.
Yeah. Anything here really is going to start counting up. You know, a Queen, maybe some Creep Tumors, and if all the Banshees do is make sure there's not a random follow-up Roach push and kill a couple of Creep Tumors, that's still pretty good, because Kelazur just really didn't take any damage. His 3rd CC was on location. He's getting all 6 gases as easily as possible. Going to some Thors as well. I don't see Medevacs on the way, so I guess no drops here. At least not yet. Maybe they'll be a little delayed with the Starport getting a reactor, but still, he's just going to be safe against all possibilities.
Kelazur banked up quite a few Hellions. It would have perhaps been more effective for him if he went a little bit sooner, because Zhuge was trying to recover economically. But the Banshees have found the sweet spot in the main base, so they're going to be able to do a little bit of damage here. The Roaches are not in position to deal with these Hellions, so just when Zhuge finally sort of economically stabilized, he once again falls behind in the worker department.
Yeah, that's not a great supply to look at, as Kelazur now adds on this Medevac, so now we're going to have the potential for base snipes. Even just taking on the Roaches head-on with Thors is doable when they're in low numbers. More drones are going to go down. At this point, Kelazur not too worried about giving away Hellions, even if they don't trade that effectively, but so far they are finding the drone lines.
This is something we've seen quite a few times already in Nation War Season 5, even though that was a good save in the main base, but there are just too many drones going down on the side of Zerg. The Queen's a little bit out of position as well, so even this hatch has been taking a beating, and now the Thors will show up as well. I have no idea how Zhuge is supposed to manage all of this. He does have quite a few Roaches out right now, but these Roaches have no upgrades, 0, nada, other than soon Roach speed, but no missile attacks. I mean, these Thors are going to have a field day.
I guess the one hope here is that the Roaches take out the Thors by some miracle. Kelazur is not paying attention, and then he does counter, but the Thors should not be lost like that. If he doesn't deal with the Thors, then they will get drones, they'll get Queens, they'll even get the actual lair, and it looks like Zergling is actually a little indecisive. First he moved out, then he moved back, then he moved forward. He's going to go for it, but this time, at this point, Kelazur does have some tanks, still behind a wall.
And he's got 3 Banshees, no? I don't know where the Banshees are at this point, but yeah, the Banshees are heading home as well. These Banshees obviously are going to help out. That's 4 tanks and a wall of supply depots. Close your eyes, Jess. Actually, you're Terran, you're loving this.
This is fantastic, man. 4 tanks all sieged up. Beautiful game, beautiful hold by Kelazur. More so, of course, the first attack than the one we just saw, but still very important that he's able to identify. I think a lot of Terrans also just doing that build nowadays.
Yeah, like, especially on Backwater.
Yeah.
When I feel like a few Terrans have died against this build a few too many times, and they're like, all right, we're gonna stop this having 1 Marine and a Cyclone at home against 72 supply of Roaches and Lings. Yeah, Kelazur kind of made that look easy.
He did.
So Kelazur here ties up the series against Finland.
not unexpected.
We have some replays.
Yeah, this was not such a pivotal moment. You know, the Hellions, I guess they did scout the Roachborn, which we kind of didn't talk about, and that might have been the first indicator, but he was already building the Cyclone, so that, again, it goes back to kind of like these Terrans are doing this build now where they will get the Cyclones. It's not that big of a blip in their production, and it keeps them very safe as they transition on to other buildings.
Yeah, and even if the Zerg is not aggressive, then obviously the Terran can be aggressive with Hellbats and Cyclones, and we've seen those builds be pretty effective. But I also think it's just a massive tell whenever the Zerg takes their hatchery forward for absolutely no reason. I mean, why would they do that unless that's part of the bigger plan? And obviously the bigger plan was for Zhuge to be quite aggressive here against Kalazur, but really good repair, good movement on the SCVs. He barely lost any. I think he lost 4 in total. That's magnificent.
Yeah, that was about as good of a hold as you would hope for. There's that one chance that the Hellbats aren't plenty enough. He was transitioning into more barracks, and then the Hellions aren't here to help out, but that just wasn't the case. Skeletor did play mech here, and the rest of the game was just honestly very easy for him. It was such a good hold.
You know, you did a lot of things right in the game if you can defend against the Roach attack while you have 2 Tors in your opponent's main base and you still don't break a sweat.
Yeah.
Then it's been a pretty clean game.
Yeah, and he really did not break any sweat. So now, who comes out for Finland?
What's the map, Hajin? Tell us the map.
Catalyst.
Ah, that's a Serral map.
Serral.
Yeah.
Normal,
I
straightforward.
want to see the Must-Zero
Even
play.
though...
We haven't seen him play
Yeah,
yet.
no, that's true. And maybe a PVT on Catalyst. I don't think it's the greatest map for Protoss against Terran. It's not bad by any means, but there are some maps where I think you can get a slightly bigger advantage. It can be a tricky map, though, because there's no ramp going into the natural. Maybe if he loves PVT, he goes for it, but I feel Catalyst, it's normal. It screams Serral.
It's gotta be Serral.
Okay.
The king comes against Kalazur.
This is the match you were really hoping for, you know. Kalazur in good form against Serral in most of his forms, I suppose, and that could be a really awesome TVZ.
Yeah.
And they're, I mean, maybe Finland just really doesn't want to send out their Protoss. Trying to keep him in the back pocket,
Maybe he's trying
hiding his strategies.
He's trying to pull a Su.
he hopes to get money without doing anything at all.
Okay, so just after the break, we will have Sarah against Kalazur. Keep tweeting at us and stay with us. Hello everyone and welcome back with us for the second series of the day in the group Poland. I'm here with Frankia and Rotterdam and they're really excited to cast the next game. It's going to be Serral against Kalazur.
I'm always a little excited to cast Serral. It's been an absolute pleasure over the last, I would almost say, year already.
Oh, yeah.
Even though lately I truly believe he has taken it to another level again. He still has his ups and downs. He doesn't always shine, but when it comes against almost anybody that's not like top 5 in the world, he does tend to pretty much shine all the time. So Serral's an absolute treat to watch. I think no matter what race you play, if you play as Protoss, Zerg or Terran, you gotta get very, very excited to watch this young man play StarCraft.
Yeah, obviously, if you're a Zerg player, there's a lot that you can take out of his game plan. You can still build, but you don't have the mechanical skills to put it off, right? And that's what's so amazing about Serral is that he's so clean and refined in everything he does. And in most of the situations, he will always find a way to get an advantage. You know, in the early game, in the mid game, in the late game, whatever the composition, he's always like at the top, which is kind of crazy.
It's always cliche to use terms like he revolutionized the way we see Zerg versus X, so I don't want to go there, but I must say I have really enjoyed the way he's been using Roaches and Hydras, because, you know, in a while we always thought like, okay, it can work if you deal with the arrest and then you just make one big frontal attack, but you need to do it right there and then, otherwise the immortal count gets too high and you can't win anymore. And then you see Serral just non-stop run-bys with Roaches for like 15 minutes, take out armies that consist of 18 immortals. It's just like, damn, this is an absolute treat to watch.
Yeah, he does do that, right?
Yeah.
Like he has that tendency of making things work that we didn't think was possible. So, yeah, you don't want to say revolutionized. I will not go there either, but he's kind of close from it, though.
Yeah, he has a beautiful playstyle, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, let's see if the Brazilian captain can take a point to Finland against Serral.
All right, Serral versus Kalazur. And in the bottom right, as the Red Terran, is the best player in Brazil. We'll see if he can take a map against probably the best foreigner. It's Kalazur.
Kalazur is a dangerous Terran, though, for this man. I'm not sure if Serral is super confident. I'm sure that he's quite confident, but at the same time, Kalazur has that reputation. He can do it all. He can cheese, he can proxy, he can do 2 base timing. So you gotta be cautious if you're this man. But I'm pretty sure he is. He's one of the absolute best we've ever seen outside of Korea. It is Zero.
So no cheesy tactics from Kalazur. So it would have been surprising to me if he went straight up for a double racks or something, especially on Catalyst, which is a map that you expect those kind of strategies. Also, if you if you think that Kalazur is the underdog here, then he might try some kind of strategy like this. So I would have been quite surprised. But as you said, Kalazur, I think, rose a little bit, or at least showed a lot of dominance in the TVZ matchup back then when he was using a lot of Reapers with super aggressive strategies.
Yeah. It was also cool because a lot of people played like 3 Rex Reaper and then eventually, you know, they would transition, but not Kalazur.
No.
Kalazur went from 3 Rex Reaper to 6 Rex Reaper to, I've seen games, I think, 12 Rex Reaper, no add-ons, just nothing but Reapers. And I've seen him take out like armies that were like, including workers, 110, 120 supply, and it's just roaches flying through the air all the time. It was one of the silliest things I've seen in a while. Eventually, even Kalazur was forced to change up his playstyle a little bit after the Reaper got nerfed, but he's done it very well. He seems very comfortable with multiple openings that Terran can bring to Zerg, and I think that's one of his strengths. He truly is an unpredictable Terran player.
He is, so let's see what he decides to go for in this game. So for now, Reaper Expand, obviously it's not that common that you do anything else, even though we've seen a couple of CC first from MMA, for instance, recently. But he's going to go for the Reaper Expand, grabs himself a second refinery right away, so we'll have to invest a little bit of that gas into something. So it might be, and that's the common option, Hellion and Banshee with Cloak. But
maybe some Hellbats?
You can still see some Hellbats. You can occasionally see a Raven as well, even though it's not as popular in the TVZ matchup. It's still quite useful. So we'll decide. But especially considering the map, I expect Bio from Kalazur.
Okay.
But, well, no, once again, might be wrong. But it's just I like the map for a Bio tank.
I've seen a couple of very cool Cyclone Hellion openings out of Kalazur as well.
Yes.
And then he rests with Banshees and surprises you. And he threw up that armory very sneaky in the corner of his base. And suddenly you have to deal with 5-6 Hellbats, maybe a Medevac as well, and a couple of Cyclones. That's obviously very dangerous. But Zero is someone who's very, very familiar with these guys. It's a quick Medevac at first. Are we looking at 4 Hellions already then? Most likely, right? So he's going to go for the 4 Hellion drop, perhaps?
I might expect Hellbat timing, considering he's still building Marines. But that might be the case. No armor yet.
Okay.
But you can still delay it. You should play it down like quite soon. Actually, a tech lab on the barracks, stop Marine production.
Roach Warren already going down for Zero. He's obviously aware that this is a possibility. There's still a chance that Medevac sneaks to the other side of the map, maybe picks up the 4 Hellions and goes for a little drop in the main base.
Yeah, it's going to be a Hellion drop. You were right on this one. That link counterattack, though. Pretty well timed, even though a couple of Aliens just show up out of nowhere. We've got a couple of Marines defensively. I think just Kalazur in general, by building those Marines, that actually told me that he would go for a Hellbat timing, but no, it was just defensive against those potential Zerglings.
There's no vision over here on this side of the map for Zero, so this could... Well, why do I even try, Vanka?
I don't know. I don't know. It's just like, I agree with you. I'm like, that's just no vision at all. Like, is he gonna take damage? And then you see it's like 12 Zerglings waiting at the exact spot of where the Hellions would be dropped. It's quite crazy how like he seems perfect defensively these days, and when you're perfect defensively in ZVT, you're having a good time. So Cyril has his lair. Build the safety roaches for now. It's about 5, but probably expected more of a Hellbat push. It's not coming though. It's just going to be Hellions, and we still don't see any transition that has been selected. It's going to be delayed Cloak Banshee. That's also quite clever.
It's a lot of Zerglings heading towards the south side of the map now. It's important for Kalazur that he raises these depots in time. Okay, and he does raise them. There's still a lot of surface area on this command center. Yeah. And I'm a little bit worried because just 2 Marines don't have that much DPS.
And the Hellions, they have to turn back and they have to do it right away because I don't think that CC can hold any longer. Those Zerglings, okay, Cyril just gives up. He knows that the Hellions are coming back.
But this is still not what you want to do as a Terran player. Now, there is a Liberator that has showed up in the main base. And that is nice. It gets a single drone, which I guess we can call a victory here, because it's at least something. Yep. And we've got these Hellions cruising towards the other side of the map. Not sure where the Roaches currently are positioned. Zero is so far on the money when it comes to moving his spore crawler, and he's already pulling those drones even before the Hellions are there.
Yeah, Cyril just perfect in terms of positioning. Once again, the roaches just moved at the perfect timing, and the drones were even pulled, so he knows about everything.
No.
Yeah, you need to repair that CT at some point. It's actually burning at the moment, and we see the transition. It's going to be +1/+1 on bio units, so we'll see bio out of Kalazur in this game.
This is kind of nice. At least he catches a couple of the Zerglings. This is still not the start that you're hoping for as a Terran player. You're hoping for a lot more economic damage. We have casted so many games in this season of Nation Wars already, as Burrow was started for a split second, but perhaps just a misclick, where we look at 15 drone kills, 20 drone kills. We've seen it over and over and over again. So far in this game, only the Liberator was able to just get a couple of drone kills. Maybe this Cloak Banshee, as that Spore Crawler was slightly out of position, and a single Queen. Obviously, it's going to take a little while.
You know what?
This is kind of nice.
That's actually kind of nice. We're looking at a delayed Banshee that just went for 5 kills. I was about to say 6, but obviously Cyril gets the Spore here.
But in Cyril's defense, I would still rather lose 5 drones now than lose 4 drones when I only have 32 drones, you know, and that is often a big difference. In that phase in the game, it is so damn painful to lose workers. Now, losing a couple drones, like, yeah, it does sting. But there are still 67 drones out on the map. He has not really lost anything. Now, the good news for Kalazur is not that his Hellions were not surrounded or something. So he can still potentially use them in his first big push. Morph them into Hellbats. Maybe they can absorb a couple of these Banelings. He's not taking any damage from these run-bys because all the Hellions are still alive. So it's not all bad news bear for our Brazilian Terran player, but I'm sure he would have loved to do a little bit more economic damage.
Definitely. He's not ahead by any means. Actually, you need to move those Banshees away. The Overseer is still with them, and I think he will end up losing both, and he will. That's a painful loss because as you mentioned, Hellions surviving, super good. What about Banshees? They do the same. They will get those snipes, those interesting snipes on the Banelings, but he just dropped them for nothing here, so that's a little bit... well, it's still a bit not good for Kalazur, that's it. 1-1 was finished. Armory timing was on point, so he will be able to fire off the +2 attack.
Combat Shield just now starting though, so if he wants to get very aggressive with these 2 Medivacs on the right side, he's going to have to be careful because these Marines don't have that much HP. Bailing speed is about to finish up. Cero will spot this drop very quickly, knows where it's coming from, decides to squeeze in 7 additional drones. So we're looking at a close to 80 drone economy for our Zerg player, who's already going up to 5 bases as well.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy how fast he progresses in the game. But that's the main push from Kalazur. It will hit around the time that combat shields will finish, maybe a tad bit early. He needs to wait for a bit, but he has 2 tanks.
If he can get a couple good shots off on these Banelings with his Hellions, I mean, the Hellion count is for real, that's for sure.
Yep.
If he can just get a few of those nice volleys off in the center of the pack, then this is absolutely doable. Cero is showing a lot of respect to this now, obviously, as he's morphing 10 additional Banes, but keeping that hatch alive in the right top side, I mean, maybe if he comes in from every angle, but normally this should be quite tough for the Zerg.
That's what he will try to do, and I do believe that Kalazur, he needs some vision on the left side, maybe a Medivac to go there, because those Banelings, they will reach the tank super fast, and that's what's happening. The Zerglings soak up the shots to start things off. The hatchery did fall, but at the same time, there's so many Banelings from every single direction, and Kalazur has to evacuate. It did take the base, which is a start, but did lose a lot of units in the process.
Is there a 4th command center? No, right?
I don't think there is.
Okay,
Yeah,
now
it's
it goes down. I mean, it's kind of nice if you kill your opponent's fort, but it's a little less nice when they already have a 5th base and you didn't really do any real damage to the economy either. So
yeah.
I think in the end, there's only one way to look at it and say that this was a victory for Cero.
It was.
Even though he did pay the price with that hatch, but he had another hatch to fall back on.
Yeah, and we're still looking at a creep that hasn't been really pushed back. It's everywhere on the map. Kalazur scouts in the middle with a scan and sees that there is already this base fully working, fully saturated by the drones that were on the fort. He actually scans again, sees if the hatchery has been dropped down again, and he can do whatever he wants. Cyril right now, 2-2, about to finish, lots of idleness, bailing speed. Yeah, he's in a terrific position right there.
Yep. Kalazur is going to try to push this creep back a little bit though, Fonka, like you mentioned. But yeah, you killed 2 tumors, and he's going to replace it with, what is that, 12 or something? I mean, this is the story of Zerg.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The story of Cero. How many queens does Cero currently have? Okay, he's got 7 queens, obviously split over quite a few bases.
See, even a random overseer sees the drop as it leaves the main base of the Terran. Like
Serral's maxed out, man.
the map control coming out from Serral, like he's got unit everywhere. He's got creep. He
It is so stupid.
Everything.
Yeah.
That's when you feel super good as a Zerg player in a ZVT matchup. It's amazing.
And the 2-2 upgrades have finished up as well. Obviously, that drop, like you said, was spotted by the overseer. The only thing that Serral could probably do is maybe start trading out units a little bit, even if he takes a bad fight here and there. That's not that big of a deal. Free up some supplies, start using that bank because he has a lot of minerals in the bank.
Okay, double Liberator to the main. Spores are not in position yet. So now a couple of Banelings will hit some shots. At the same time, top right drop just got cleaned up quite easily.
Run by on the bottom as well. It's a lot of Banelings here in the mix. This is kind of what I wanted to see Serral do. I'm not sure how successful this is going to be in the end, but I still like the effort. He was maxed out. He had money in the bank. You may as well, right?
That last Baneling was painful. It looks like it would not deal any damage whatsoever in terms of economy, and suddenly it's 15 SCVs that just went down. So Kelazur, macro-wise, doing super good for himself. 52 SCV is still a pretty decent number. He should probably produce a couple more, but 52 is not anything that you should be too worried about. He can still produce out of those barracks. It's a transition that he might want to have that's going to be difficult to pay for now. No Ghosts, no Liberators if you don't have that economy to back it up.
Nope, and obviously the wall-off is not up yet. All those depots went down. He was actually supply blocked as well because he lost all the supply depots. So these Banelings are going to try to get a few more good connections. This time the Orbital is forced to lift off as it obviously wasn't super high in HP. You don't want to end up losing it against Banelings. At the same time, Serral's being annoying at the front. There is a drop on the right top side, but that one gets shut down as well. And it almost feels when you play against Serral, it feels like you're running into a concrete wall.
It's pretty crazy because really, macro-wise, I think Kelazur is doing a tremendous job. Like, even his first push, even though he lost a couple of units in the early game, was massive. But the execution and the timing of the production of the units from Serral, it's just pristine. Like, he's so good defensively, and look at that. Now he sees everything. He's got 3 Vipers that will gather a lot of energy. He still has an amazing amount of Lings, Banelings. He always has that counter-attack on the left side. Look at that. Kelazur is trying so hard, though.
The tanks are gone. The tanks that he left behind before, he wanted to use them in the push, and now he's going to be forced to send a couple of Zerglings back, but few more Lings will pick off a couple of additional SCVs. That's 9 more SCVs going down. And above all, Serral is just buying so much time for his ultras, for kindness plating. Don't forget about those Vipers that are going up in energy as well. Serral's just getting everything. He's just having a field day at this point.
He's playing a perfect TVZ so far, even though Kelazur didn't look too shabby in this game. Well, he's just suffering from the same thing in TVZ that a lot of players have been experiencing against Serral. It's just, as you said, perfect defense, perfect game plan. And look at this attack. The tanks are all fully clumped up, and the Vipers are just doing work for now. Even though the splits are pretty decent, I think it's going to be fine for Serral as he takes all the medivacs and the tanks away.
Yeah, the tank line in the back actually looks sort of promising, but in the end, Serral simply has way too much. GG. A 14-minute clinic of, even when we think, it's like, hey, you know, maybe he should have seen that drop. Never mind, you know. It's like, I'm sorry, Serral. Like, there's like, well, he actually didn't see it, he just knows it, and that's like the sick thing. And this honestly goes back to like the beginning and the early stages of the game. If you open up with that amount of Banshees, the Liberator and that amount of Hellions, you just want to get some damage done. I understand the fear of just throwing them away and not getting anything done, but 6 to 8 Hellions, you really do want to roast a couple drones. You want to force out a few more units.
And that's that early game leads up to that situation, right? Like, it's a massive attack from Kelazur. He macroed perfectly to these points, but there is way too much. As you said, the economy that he started losing happened super late. He already had about 65, 68 drones, which meant that he was able to power up those Lings, those Banelings, and in those massive amounts. And it's just, when you start like this and you actually invest that much into aggression and RS like this and you don't do anything, well, a guy like Serral will just take advantage of this.
You know, it's quite sick. Before that first run by Kelazur was actually at like 196 supply. It was very close to being maxed out. Then he got thrown back to 180, and then he got thrown back to 162 out of 162. He was not allowed to rebuild his depots, and at the same time his army wasn't growing anymore. While the army of Serral was A, always maxed out, and B, only got scarier with every passing second. As of course, the last player for Brazil here is going to be Eric. That's going to be a ZVZ. Yeah, what a game by Sero.
I mean, he showed his TVZ knowledge. Now we'll see a ZVZ against Eric. And I think that we might look at the same general idea, right? Like, defensively, it's perfect. You said concrete wall, and I think it's a perfect analogy of what it is, right? And when he gets to that point in a game, mid to late game, he's got those 67, 70 drones.
He's
he
so
feels
smart.
like a champ, you know?
What I love about Sero's playstyle is that I always feel that he's so smart in trading out units in the right place. Just when I really felt like, hey, you know, maybe this is that feist in a game where you do want to start recycling a couple of your units because you are maxed out. That's when the run-by started. And at the same time, he never overdoes it. Like sometimes you see these massive run-bys and they do a little bit, but then they suddenly die at home because they don't have ultras yet. And then you look at the army of Sero and it just feels like he has 80 drones. You look at his army, it's like, damn, it's so freaking massive. Like, how much supply is there actually on the map? And obviously, it doesn't help that the map is always covered in creep. This makes it scary for Kalazur to push too far forward, because if you end up losing 20 Marines to a bunch of Banes, what do?
You don't do anything, you type GG, and that's what he did. I mean, also, like, as you said, like, getting that 4th base and that 5th base right after that. Like, when you supposed to deal damage by getting that hatchery, obviously what you lost was way more expensive than the 300 minerals that you made him lose, but it's an opportunity to have a little bit more income, a little bit less income on the side of Zerg. No, he already has a 5th. Those drones, they were unemployed for like 3 seconds. It's crazy. Like, he has it on lockdown. Like, his TVZ for now, just brilliant. Just
Looks
brilliant.
really good. Sero also still one of the, I think, perhaps most fun things about watching and casting Sero is that he does really still seem to get better, and that is perhaps the scariest thing for a lot of the other players in these WCS circuits, that you're gonna have to keep facing him, because I don't feel like he's stagnating. I honestly feel like, you know, you compare him to the Sero 4 or 5 months ago, I feel like he got a lot better.
Every day that goes by, it's a scarier Sero. Like, the question is, well, until where will he go? Like, is there a point where
the sky is the limit?
The sky is the limit for this guy. But it's just like, it was a prophecy amongst you know, the StarCraft casters and, you know, and general observers of the game. It's just, this guy will win. This guy is already super impressive. If he fixes his nerves, for instance, and gets to go to a little bit more tournaments, this guy will get a massive win. And that happened. It's quite crazy to think about. But we're hopping on that 4th game, and in the top right, as the red Zerg, is Eric.
On the left bottom side, we're looking in the main base of the man that we have been praising quite a bit, but he simply deserves it. It's Sero.
Yeah, he makes Finland such a
powerhouse,
such a dangerous country in this tournament.
Yep, it's really funny when like a lot of other nations are like, yeah, we rather don't play Finland. It truly is about Sero, with no disrespect, you know, towards Zhuge or the Mas Hero, but we have a lot of very strong nations in this format. Countries like, it might be in the Netherlands, I'm maybe a little bit biased, but Germany, of course, Poland. These are all very strong, balanced teams, and yet they don't like the idea of playing Finland, and that truly says enough. Like, it's not just us, it's not just the casters or a couple of big Sero fans out there, it's the other pro gamers that are saying, this guy is so freaking scary. Especially in a format like this, we rather avoid Finland.
Definitely, definitely, but let's see. Well, during the tournament, they're not done yet. They're not qualified.
We're just getting started, Funka.
Exactly, we're just getting started. It's round of 16, and this is the first game for Finland here. So, obviously, we don't want to go too much in the future, but yeah, there's going to be a few problems for any team that will have to face Finland and a Sero in that level of form. So for now, does Eric have anything to try and upset Sero? Because if he wins, if Eric wins a game, it's totally an upset. So I just don't see it happening in a proper macro game. So I want to see the twist, you know? Like, what's the global idea behind Eric's game plan?
I mean, the one nice thing for Eric is obviously that Eric has way more information on Sero than Sero has on Eric. Eric also mentioned that he was practicing on Korea for quite a bit. Now, there is a good chance that Eric played Sero quite a few times on the ladder, but maybe Sero didn't know he was playing Eric, so maybe Eric even has extra information besides all the public games. So perhaps all of this has come together and led to a game plan. Of course, Brazil was aware of the fact that they had to go up against Finland, and then you do start preparing for the players, and in particular Cero. So let's see what Eric has in store for us.
Right.
For now, everything is very standard and straightforward.
Exactly. Both players are playing mirrored builds here. Those 6 Zerglings, they might be trapped a little bit. Okay, I like the micro repositioning of the Zergling that was in red health, so the Queen doesn't finish it off right off the bat. We've got Baneling Nest on both sides as they are trying to take a third. So for now, nothing too cheeky. The first to be building a little bit of Zerglings is indeed Eric.
Yeah, Eric adds a few more links. So we're going to keep a close eye on the Zerglings, especially that he has on Cero's side of the map, because there's always a good chance that he decides to morph a couple of them into Banelings and potentially tries to sneak them into a mineral line. Or maybe he's just trying to apply pressure on the hatch, but he doesn't really have the numbers for that. So what I feel that Eric is going to try to do here is just get a good connection and perhaps get a little bit of damage done.
Okay, as he takes an extra extractor and a Evo chamber, so we'll take a look at that afterwards. For now, one Baneling did drop on both sides, not a single good connection yet. Eric tries to connect with something cheeky, but it's only one Zergling, so he has to pull back. 14 more Zerglings though.
Who was our Zerg that really held his own against Cero for the first 6-7 minutes? Damn it.
Who did they play
in the round of 32?
I can't even remember, man.
Ooh, Eric, during all of that, was able to squeeze 2 Zerglings into the main base.
Cero, reaction time? No! Only 4 drones, though. That could have been worse, but it's still a pretty interesting turn of event here with those 2 Banelings that squeezed by and got a couple of drone kills. But, well, nice micro from Eric. Dodging the massive connections and dropping 2 Banelings right away.
It was No Limit from Czech Republic.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
He actually kind of impressed us because he was really holding his own during the early Ling-Bane skirmishes against Cero. And sometimes for us, it's not all about who wins or who loses. It's just cool to see some of these new up-and-coming players as well get a shot at the bigger names in the European scene. And of course, the same can be said here for Eric, who is falling behind a little bit in the worker department. Of course, during all of this, he's trying to catch up. But Cero has taken an army supply advantage because of all the roaches he just fired up and was actually ahead. Is there a layer on the side of Cero?
I don't think there is yet. No, there is no layer yet. Has Eric is going for a carapace upgrade?
Eric's layer is almost done. Yeah, and indeed, carapace is more than halfway done as well. Now Cero fires up his own layer. His +1 missile attacks is halfway done. Well, that's a good trade for Eric. He gets an extra Bane there.
Yeah. Let's see if that skews the odds in his favor. He will get a scout, knows that the lair isn't finished. Oh, actually, it's not even in the main. I think you've seen it in the natural. Ooh. Spire transition? Because of how ahead he is, and then carapace to just, you know, make every single unit a little bit more bulky.
I mean, it is a very fast Spire. Cero hasn't seen that much yet. These 2 Zerglings are going to try to get a good scout. This one Ling is actually going to make it all the way almost into the main base. And I think it spotted the layer, but I'm not sure if it saw... Obviously, it didn't see the Spire, but it did see the layer. And that's already something.
Yeah, you know that the lair is finished on the other side as yours is just finishing right now. He will fire up the roach speed instantly. As we see, the Spire is about 66%. How many mutas will he be able to make? And the question is, will he die instantly to that amount of roaches that's trying to cross the map? He's actually building roaches in response to that.
I think that Eric got a little scared there.
Oh, yeah.
As it seems like his Zerglings survived their Baneling, as all of them have 1 HP. Of course, the real power guys, +1 carapaces that run into a Baneling. Your Zergling actually don't die. They'll live. They're very low on HP. But they will still live, and then you can always morph them into Banelings and maybe try to do something sneaky with it. But it's almost sad that Eric was forced to produce all these roaches. I think he kind of panicked, was afraid he would die against the roach move out from Cero. Now Cero scouts the main base, but these mutas could have already been out. They could have already been on the side of the map of Cero, potentially work on these roaches.
But it was really well played once again from Cero, because he literally crossed the map, showed himself next to an Overlord, and just pulled back right away. It was just a, mechanic of saying you can't be building drones, you can't be doing something cheeky right now. You need units. I've got a lot of roaches. Respect that, and go for something to answer that problem. And that's what he did. And even though he didn't know about it, those 5 mutas could actually be 8 or 9, and they could have been out 45 seconds ago.
There's still a few more overlords out on the map that Eric can potentially pick off. This is obviously not bad, because what this does allow Eric to do is play his own game, and we're getting bailing speed as well, which I personally find an exciting upgrade.
Yep.
Now, it is important, of course, that he doesn't take any unnecessary damage here, as he has plenty of units to defend. But there is perhaps a chance where if Cyril decides to move out, let's say when he has +2 missile attacks, where he's like, you know, I've got a bunch of Hydras, Roaches, I'm gonna be okay. Maybe, just maybe, Eric can get a couple of Bailings coming in from an awkward angle, and if they connect to that Hydra pack, then suddenly Cyril's anti-air could disappear.
See, we were wondering what was the angle from Eric, but now we see it. We know that he wanted to maybe push Cyril into building Hydralisks, and then just not playing that kind of game. Just go for a massive bust with a lot of Zerglings. We've seen a couple of them being produced, and we should see the Banelings fairly soon.
I almost feel like this is part of the bigger game plan as well, as he's going to try to throw away a couple of units to do a little bit of economic damage and force this kind of a move out by Cyril. The only thing that I'm worried about for Eric is, does Eric have the numbers at home? Because I'm not exactly sure, Funka.
He doesn't have them yet. He needs a couple more seconds to gather all his forces. The Mutalisks, they need to be fighting the Roaches as fast as possible, as the Hydralisks were a little bit far away.
I mean, 5 Mutas was also not enough. He's going up to 10 Mutalisks now. That's nice. But can the Banelings of Eric somehow connect with the Hydralisk of Cyril? It seems like the answer is no, as Roaches on the left side are sniping Banelings.
I can't believe even this fight. Maybe he reacts to at the last possible moment, but he's got the perfect positioning with the Roaches on the left side, sniping the Banelings, and now Mutas against Hydralisks. That's not a good show for the Mutas, and obviously there's so many more Roaches left over that are destroying everything. 16 drones are falling, and this is GG. Cyril makes it 3-1 for Finland, and once again with ease, you know?
Yeah, a dominant performance in the end by Cyril. But I would have loved to see that game if Eric doesn't make those Roaches, which I almost feel were like panic Roaches, because he didn't want to die.
100%.
Because he could have made a bunch of Mutas a little bit quicker, and then maybe he can find some openings with his Mutas, and maybe force out a few additional Spore Crawlers. And then maybe, obviously it was clear what he wanted to do later on, just get a big amount of like Zerglings and Banelings, and then connect the Banelings to the Hydras, and then the Mutas can clean up. Unfortunately, Cyril picked up on it pretty quickly, and it also felt that Eric was going for those Roach run-bys and the Ling run-bys a little too soon, because then you look at the numbers and you're like, you're only at like 60 army supply right now against 104. You're truly going to need the most magical Baneling connections of all time if you want to make this work.
And this just didn't happen. We can see the last fight of the game, and on the left side, those Roaches that have been split from the main army. There's no creep to connect anything, so the Banelings are quite slow, and the Hydralisks were just not touched. And even against Roaches, you could argue if you have a decent connection, Banelings can be useful, but that's not even what happened in this game. And as you mentioned, I think the attack just happened a little bit too early for Eric's taste.
Yeah, and I still feel that maybe Eric threw away a couple of units too early, but I think Cyril was eager to attack anyway because of his +2 missile attacks finishing up.
Yeah, perfect
overall,
timing.
Cyril is just doing Cyril things, kind of what we expected of him.
Yeah, it looks complicated for Brazil for now, and let's see who is going to get revived for their team.
Must be the captain. Must be Diego.
It's the killer.
And I think we're going to see, I must say it was almost an uncharacteristic game of Calazur. He seemed a little cautious. Like, where is hyper-aggressive Diego that just drives Hellions in everywhere and just wants to kill a bunch of drones?
Yeah, we'll get to see it one more time, and maybe this time he throws the Hellions. Like, okay, the macro game didn't work, and once again, super impressed by I'm gonna be okay. Super impressed by the macro of Calazur in this game, but not getting any damage done in the early game truly hurt him.
Yeah. As our desk barely survived the
hype, the passion.
The knee kick from Hajin.
Was it a knee kick?
No,
I think I just pulled the
it
cable.
Hit me.
Oh, okay.
It hit me.
I thought
so
you hit
hard.
the desk.
No, it's the mic.
That's not even our fault.
It's okay. I'm a strong woman, and so it might be the last game of the day.
Yes.
So after the break, it's gonna be Sarah against Calazur again, and we'll find out if Calazur can take his revenge. Hello and welcome back for the last games of the day between Finland and Brazil. I'm here with Fonka and Zombie Grub. And how do you feel about the second game between Cyril and Kalazar?
Not too great. Watching the first game between them, I mean, it did kind of play out like expected, not just because Cyril won, but because Kalazar's a very mid-game oriented Terran. Like, bio is kind of his thing, mid-game aggression is his thing, and Cyril's thing is just not taking damage or taking damage and then not caring anyways. So
Yeah.
I feel like if Kalazar really needs to win this, like, he either needs to get something extreme done in the mid-game or actually embrace the late game that we've been seeing from other Terrans lately.
Yeah, that's what I expected as well. I mean, when he got shut down quite hard with his first push, I was like, do we see a Kalazar that accepts that this game is not going to finish with the 2-2 timing? And if you do truly believe that you don't have that window anymore, then that's the moment you'll see some planetary fortresses being dropped down, and you see a Ghost Academy being dropped down as well. That's the kind of stuff that you expect. If you go like that hard, especially on such a small map where Zerg can take some decent engagements, if you go for that 2-2 timing, you either kill the guy or you die. There is no transition after that. The map is just too short, and you'll get like multi-pronged harass as we've seen between the 3rd base and the 4th base. So I think there's two possibilities for this next game. Either we see something super aggressive, super even cheesy maybe from Kalazar, or he needs to lay back and accept maybe a late game situation with which he doesn't have that much experience, I guess. So
He just it feels like he never wants to play it. Like, I'm sure that he has to occasionally.
yeah,
Sound effects are confusing me, you guys. But yeah, he doesn't ever seem like he wants to play, where some other Terrans are really embracing it. Like TY, of course, comes to mind. Kalazar's still like, no, I can kill him, I don't have to do this. And then he doesn't, so.
I mean,
Stuff.
I mean, it's been our motto against Zerg, right, for quite a bit of time. It's like 2-2 timings. Back in late Wings of Liberty, pre-Hive timing, you try to defend against those infestors, and then you try to kill them. And then early Legacy of the Void, chitinous plating is coming in 20 seconds, so you need to kill him, right? And there was no real, different option available to the Terran player. Now these days, I think Ghost is in a pretty good place. Liberator as well. It's just Kalazar doesn't have this this experience in this particular strategy yet. So I don't know. Maybe he tries it once, or he just goes for something cheesy, something 1.5 base or something like.
I mean, a tier axe is possible, but like,
so expected.
I mean, it's, the Cyril just needs to like take some overload pathing.
Yeah,
and he'll be fine against it. So maybe we just need to give Kalazar's mid game more credit on this upcoming map.
And the next game is a Neon Violet between these two players.
We did see Kalazar play mech against Zigliang.
Yeah.
And maybe that was kind of just maybe a consequence of the map, but then this would also be a good map for doing that. So that just kind of takes you to the late game anyways. There's not many mid-game aggressive pushes unless you count like the Cyclone, Battle Mech type stuff, but otherwise you're usually waiting a little while longer. Very different type of game, but also not one that I expect too often from our Terran.
Well, if you want to kill in the mid-game, I think Neo Violet Square is quite a bad map for it. So, yeah I don't know. It screams aggression to me, but we'll see what he does. You can also camp quite effectively on this map and go for the late game. So let's see what this guy decides to do. He is the last hope for Brazil. In the bottom right, as the red Terran, he is Kalazar.
In the top left, as the blue Zerg for Finland, it is Cyril.
Just doing his thing.
Yeah,
crushing nerds,
thing.
crushing dreams.
Yeah.
Easy peasy, another day at the office for him.
I am pretty glad, though. I mean, we all have seen Cyril's interviews on stage. We all know that it's nice.
It's nice.
He's actually kind of being charismatic on the interviews here. Seems to be having more fun. They have a little inside joke at the end between him and Kalazar.
I like
glad
it.
to see him.
I like it. Makes him more human,
Yeah,
we're already experienced that with innovation before.
Yeah.
Now we need another machine to, go back to humanity in Cyril, sorry. So no aggression, no double racks. So does that spell doom right away on Kalazar? Is that like, ugh?
Now
you need to kill him in the mid game, but it's a terrible map for it. So what does it mean?
Yeah, there's just really not a lot to say about those mid game pushes for Bio. I mean, actually, mech is so popular on this map that I'm struggling to remember the last time I saw bio or an offensive bio. I've seen a couple of players, I suppose, who just, like Bjorn, for instance. Bjorn just generally does not play mech, but he can do more of the turtle style, where he'll build a bio, he'll do a couple of those drop pushes, but really he's building bases and planetaries and dropping, but more focused on the super late game. That's about as close as I can see on this map Kellos are doing. But again, he just doesn't seem to... He doesn't really showcase those types of games.
For some reason, I almost expected like maybe a 2-1-1 out of him. Like at least if you want to put pressure and never leave the Zerg alone.
Yeah.
Then maybe 2-1-1 with the the double eBay transition, so you get those +1/+1 super early. Might have been a solution, but we'll see. The traditional 1-1-1. Some Hellions, a Banshee, that's what he showed earlier at least. He went for a Medivac drop for 4 Hellions, but the thing is, Cyril knows everything. Cyril sees the Matrix, and he knows. He knows the Medivac drop is coming, even though he didn't scout it properly. So it's just, I don't know, like you need to bring something to the table to beat this guy right now in ZVT. And as I was wondering what Eric's plan was, I'm wondering about Kellos' plans.
So it's really, I think, depressing for some players who go up against Cyril too, is that they will get like the 2 Banelings that hit the drone line, or they'll get the Hellbat push that does damage, and they'll be like, oh, right, like now I got a lead. Let's try and win this game. And I've witnessed Cyril come back from like 20, 30 drone losses on very tough maps, and he'll just still win the game. And I'm like, well, then you can't kill a guy.
You just can't kill him.
I don't know, man. But it's certainly helpful if you can get that surprise push. We had Cyril duck in a little bit to the base, but I don't know if he actually went in far enough to see the cloak. So all he knows is that it's a Hellion opener, right? Yeah.
But see, when Cyril sees this, like most people, they just see a factory and they expect a reactor. Cyril knows there is a cloak Banshee on the way, that there is a depot being built right now, because he knows all the timings. He knows everything from a single factory. That's what he knows.
Well, he is going to get that secondary scouts. I mean, maybe he was going to do it anyways, but the Marine prompted him even more. So of course the Banshees can be expected, but there's always a chance they don't. There's something a little bit tricky. But it's also nice to see if they have a 3rd CC timing that's a little unusual, maybe super quick, maybe it's not even down yet because it's something really weird. It's not quite going to see that, but with Kellos taking in the back base, I do hope and anticipate him going into mech. He adds on that armory. It's very much so like his build versus Zhuge. Keep wanting to say Eric, but it's like that's clearly not the case. And
he can't play against another Brazilian player in Nation
I know. But then we'll see if he adds on the 2 Cyclones as well. But considering he hasn't seen any Roach Warren yet, where he did get at least a little bit of a glimpse in that last game, I guess maybe he won't bother.
Yeah, Battle Mech. Looks like it's, at least for the beginning, Hellbats, maybe a couple of Cyclones, and then the transition into double Thor drop. At least that's what he showed. Earlier, Kelazur with 2 Banshees getting a couple of drone kills, but that's not going to matter too much as Cyril just glued his finger to the D key and starts pumping out drones. We're already looking at 48, should be over 55 in a couple of seconds.
Yeah, and
double factories here, I guess.
We're already seeing some pretty decent creep spread too. Centrifugal Hooks is already on the way, so no worry there. He might not end up using it, but you depending on how they're playing mech, actually Ling Baneling can be quite difficult to deal against. But we'll talk about more about that when we see the actual compositions come into play here, because of course it's still about the macro game. Cyril's creep spread is looking already amazing. We've seen some TDZs where 6-7 minutes they don't even have the creeps around the 3rd like he does, so it's going to encompass the map pretty soon, because Kelzer's not really doing anything about it right now.
Yeah, let's be honest, it's a pretty sick creep right there. Like, it's so far out. It's 6 minutes, and it's already covering most of the most important parts, which is basically that base, right? That 3rd base that he took. The furthest away, not the pocket expand, so he needs to defend it. But now, okay, the Hellions fly, the Hellions go away. Let's spread some more creep,
Yeah. They're actually a very good response to the Banshees. There's 3 of them, though, combined with the Hellions. Even with Transfuse, the Queens have got to be a little bit careful about this, and their Overseer's getting a little far away as well, so it's always a little worrying.
Yeah.
There it is.
Okay, now it's coming back. The 2 Taurs that we expected are there. Should see the double drop. So now, looks like Kelazur just wants to save his units to build a bigger push for the future, which I like. You don't want to throw away units, especially when you're playing mech in the early game. Banshees can still be useful. And we'll see what he can do with Hellbats and the Banshees and the two Thors, as the two Medivacs are being built right now, and we should see a drop in a couple of seconds. Same time, Hydralisk starting to being built, and range upgrade in the way, but still not done yet.
This creep spread denial is good. You know, it's always good to deny creep, but I do kind of wonder if this is the place he really wants to deny it. Going through the middle of the map with mech is always a little bit complicated. There's a lot of pushes that do, don't get me wrong. Like, this could be his attack path, and it might just be fine. But it's always a little bit concerning, because that's when they get the high ground of the ramp, and they come from, like, 3 different directions. Sometimes the Damn Out squares help you, sometimes they don't. It can be really tricky. We'll see. But if he does end up going towards the fourth, or the third, rather, not the fourth, and that creeps are just not being dealt with at all, and that would be a mistake.
Yeah, I think maybe Killazur just forfeits on this side of the map and just wants to go for a push that might be interesting if he does have a sizable number of tanks and there is no Vipers available, then maybe you can siege from down below, maybe the natural and the main base. That could be cute. At the same time, drop Baneling with Zerglings in the main, in ZVT, and that's going to connect because Killazur not answering properly right now. One Baneling will get dropped, so it leaves the SCVs with a really, really low amount of hit point here.
Yeah. Did he do that wrong, though? Like,
he messed that up a little bit.
Yeah, supposed to go down first. It's actually a drop I just haven't seen in a while, but it's a very clever one because the Banelings don't, kill the SCVs quite, but the Lings do. They get the last shots, so it's very effective. But only 4 SCVs is kind of disappointing considering that was a big surprise, or was supposed to be.
Yeah, but is that going to play a role in this game? I'm not really sure. Even though Killazur does have pretty decent supply in this game, 96 army supply with decent upgrades, and he kept on pushing back the creep around that 4th base. So I'd say Killazur still has a timing. He needs to exploit it. He goes into a 2nd armory now, which is kind of late.
He's also upgrading. He's going to 1-1, which is always that. Usually, if you have the 1 armory, you do add on the 2nd eventually, but you prioritize +2 attack, not the armor. So, oh no, 2 Thors, 2 Medivacs, actually a huge contributor to this push. I guess he has other 2 Medivacs, so it's not so bad. But Cyril, he's already broken down the rocks. This guy's usually pretty good about getting some type of surround, which he had set up, but is actually losing here. Yeah. Bit of misdirection there for this unit, so this Link counter is not working out.
What a boss tank here. Building up the wall, and a couple of Hellions in the back doing the job with Blue Flame. We see the number of Medivac is quite high. He intends on dropping on top of those Hydralisks with Hellbats, with Blue Flame. The tanks are a little bit too further away. Does he know? Like, he unsieged, and right away Cyril moves his units, but he didn't go for it yet. He will try to set up a concave once again, as the units that were just produced from Killazur are actually joining the rest of the army. Let's see, the Vipers are here. Does he have energy on them?
He doesn't have any Vikings. So those Vipers can actually do whatever they want. They could abduct the Medivac, they could blinding cloud the tanks, and they might even get another round. But the hatchery is starting to get shot at, which is always concerning. Even some more Hellbat drops going on here to get some drones. Cyril's going to have a bit of a test here, but I think he can pass it.
Oh yeah. Let's see what happens here with the Vipers coming in, with the blinding clouds on most of the tanks. The Medivacs are being boosted, and the Hellbats dropped right on top of the Roaches and Hydralisks. Can the tanks survive this firepower from the Zerg? And Killazur does it and pushes back the army. And still, the hatchery hasn't died yet. There's been a lot of transfuses that have been used, but so many Hellbats remaining. He keeps on dealing damage.
That was such an interesting attack, actually, that I hope we get to see it on the replay, whomever wins this. But Killazur is having still a very strong push. He's going to be able to take out that base. The supply for Cyril is still doable, but he was really hoping to actually crush that and just send this packing, take it to a bit of a longer game. Instead, he has nothing else going for him. He doesn't have any drops or Ling run buys. It is just about the attack.
Yeah, and the Hellbat's being dropped once again. I think Killazur is doing it right there. Super well executed from the Terran player. He gets it with the mech. Good job, Killazur. 3-2 now in favor of Finland, but Cyril is down. Cyril is down, and Hajin is hiding because she doesn't have any moment to say anything here because the clan war is not over yet.
He's not there.
You can show yourself.
Prediction was there. It's almost done. It's almost done. Brazil is losing.
She had like a solid 10 seconds where she could have just left.
No, but she was too hyped up by the game. Yes.
I was focused on the game. I was like, oh my god, is he going to make it? And then Kalazar took the last fight.
He make it.
So I'm not coming yet, but I'll leave you with fun
Yeah,
guys.
now
I'm
that
going
you're
to talk
here.
about the game. Yeah.
Amazing. Now that was a very
intense game.
It was intense. Well, it was a typical TVZ in my opinion, right? Where like not much happened. We were talking about the creep spread because we were just preparing for that final push, or what could have been the final push. But you don't really expect Hellbat drops. I feel like that might have actually thrown Cyril off guard, as well as probably the severity, the timing of it. Because he didn't have anything up on that ramp to come from behind. And that would have made a huge difference. There was about 6 tanks, and all of them were shooting the right direction.
Yeah.
And then that one fight that I said I hope we see on replay, I want to be able to explain, like, the Hellbats dropped. You don't usually see that. How effective was that? The tanks were pulled almost into a blinding cloud, but not quite. But they were almost pulled into the... what's that called? Right up against the army, so they couldn't shoot, but it just didn't quite work out as Cyril was hoping for.
So
and
we'll
there's the
see.
fight.
That's the moment that we'll see those Hellbats being dropped, and well, perfectly executed from Kalazar. Sometimes you'll see some Terrans like mess up their micro a little bit and not being able to drop, seeing those medivacs getting shot before they can unload their cargo. But that's not what happened in this game, so let's take a look at this one. So the Blinding Clouds, decently enough, but yeah, you're right, the tanks are actually being brought in the fight, but still were able to shoot.
Yeah. He also brought like 3 of them into the blinding cloud, but then it just it went away at the exact same time, so that was a bit unlucky. You know, the Hellbat thing is cool. The lack of, the Vipers are usually so essential to kill Vikings. That didn't actually happen, and those are interesting points as well. But I look at this, and Cyril was oddly not prepared as you would expect for this guy. He usually has that surround ready to go, and that would have been just devastating. And it was only kind of like a 1/4 of a surround. You know, it wasn't a one at all.
It was not good enough. Was not good enough against that massive amount of tanks. You mentioned that we expected as Wooded Microbe.
Yeah, this is a sub for Finland, and Damas Zero couldn't make it. So Wooded Microbe, the Terran player, is going to come for Finland.
Terran player.
Interesting.
And he beat Kalazar. I have no idea because I don't know the guy.
It's an acid plant the next game.
It's not going to change anything.
I'm not sure that really changes too much. I don't know if Kalazar knows anything about this guy either. You didn't get to ask him about it.
Wooded Microbe. It's interesting.
That's an interesting name.
It's an interesting nickname.
It is.
But somebody took down Cyril. It's the only thing that we need to mention here. Somebody was able to take a game off Cyril.
It's very good. It's a very good result for Kalazar, and I'm glad that he did mix it up and went for mech. So.
Yeah. And we mentioned that he was just, pushing back the creep only on the right side of the map. It eventually came to something that was way super useful in this game because did go for only that side of the map, did a slow push with tanks, massive micro with the Hellbats and the Medivacs. I think it was really, really good from him.
Like, it was fantastic.
It was super well played. And you could argue maybe Cyril, well, he forced him into defending that base. And you mentioned they were so far away from the other part of the map where a creep was spread. He couldn't get that surround going for himself. And yes, when you're fighting if you're fighting tanks and Hellbats with only roaches and Hydralisk, if you don't come from multiple angles, it can be quite tough.
Yes, it can. So now we get to a TVT, as in the bottom right, did what no one expected him to. It is the Brazilian Terran, Kalazar.
And his opponent, can he finish the job for Finland? When Cyril failed, well now, it's time for Wooded Microbe.
Well, all we really know about this guy is that he's at least GM.
Yeah.
Because we didn't even get to hear Cyril's explanation about him. We heard it about the guy we thought was going to be here. So, really no idea how he's performing on the ladder. Does anyone know really much about him? Maybe tweet at us. Maybe we'll see it. But what do you do in a TVT? I think that this can be a strong matchup for someone who's maybe not as good, just to say it bluntly, right? As if you understand some of the meta shifts that have happened recently, then I think it gives you a bit of an edge. But if you let Kalazar get into his comfort zone, the regular TVT, I think Wooded Microbe is just be it.
Yeah. It's a tough one. Obviously, we don't know that much about Wooden Microbe. Kelazur just showed that he was able to beat the best foreigner at the moment. So obviously the odds are not in favor of the Finnish player. But, well, we'll see. We'll see if that game actually turns out to be a competitive one. And if Wooden Microbe can do anything about the fuego from Diego here. Just, yeah. Just after taking down Cyril, I don't think he expects to lose against somebody that he probably doesn't know yet. But yeah, once again, if Wooden Microbe has something in store, we mentioned that Kelazur needed to have something in mind to beat somebody like Cyril. Well, now, you know, it's all about Wooden Microbe, you know? Maybe proxy starpot looks like this.
Well, they both have their SCVs in suspicious places.
Suspicious?
Suspicious? I don't know. Wooden Microbe is going for the Hellion, so his starport, I guess, is like slightly sooner, but he's waiting on the factory, of course. He will have more gas here for that, unless he also goes for a Cyclone eventually. Not getting a Cyclone is always a risk, but it's a very large map, and they, you know, haven't really shown like they're going to proxy it, so you could kind of play with fire here and just try and dive a little faster, but no, yeah, it's on a Cyclone.
Yeah, it's a Cyclone from Wooden Microbe after the Hellion, and let's see. Okay, Reaper against Reaper for now. Slight advantage for Wooden Microbe, and the Cyclone will gather with the rest of the army. Kelazur trying to go up the ramp. That was quite greedy from him, and he will lose a Reaper. Because of that, as both players will try to go for a cheeky Liberator from the proxy starpot.
So this actually doesn't change much then. This is still the same results. Wooden Microbe is going to be able to defend with his own Cyclone, but he could have a victory if he is a little more patient with this army. I'm surprised Kelazur's even pushing the issue. You always want to check. You're always like, what if they're just that silly and they don't go for a Cyclone? Can I just win the game here? But it's very unlikely. So this was just a little bit dangerous, and I guess it's just resulting in a bit of a micro war. So
yeah,
there we go. He chases down the army he knows he can take on.
Yeah, he's got the opportunity to kill at least one Reaper, I believe. Here, we'll see what Wooden Microbe will be able to do. As Kelazur will go back with his army as he sieges the Liberator right on top of the mineral line. And now Kelazur, can he escape?
Where is the Liberator of Wooden Microbe? I mean, it should be hitting at almost the exact same time. There we go. That's very unfortunate, but Kelazur does not have Cyclones back at home. I was just going to mention this. And he's supply blocked, so that one was really, really quite late. This is quite huge for a Wooden Microbe, who is going to be able to survive. He's actually going to be able to take out this army if he does things right. That Cyclone is going to escape.
The grenade was only timed here, as the Liberator can siege again because he didn't die from the first volley of the two Cyclones. But how long has Kelazur not been mining now? Like probably about 30 seconds, and it's still going.
He actually could have kept the Cyclone or the Liberator there, because the Cyclone can't kill a Liberator in one lock-on.
Yes.
So it's depressing. That's still how bad the Cyclone anti-air is, but it looks better for the first 4 shots. The Cyclone was about to pop out anyways, and his SCVs went to mine in the natural, which I hope Wooden Microbe realized. The SCVs didn't go back to mining. They went somewhere else. And he should know then that his natural is pretty delayed. It's on the high ground. It's on an orbital.
So are they building anything from the starpots? Not a single unit out of it, which is kind of interesting, as Wooden Microbe has 4 less SCVs, which is a shame, and actually will use a scan to confirm that the second base is mining. On the side of Kelazur, when you see those golden mules, you know that he was not scanning. He was getting a lot of monies.
It's unfortunate that they had to use a scan for that.
Yep.
So we are going into the Cyclone Wars, which this is where I think Wooden Microbe, if he really just like, you know, 500 IQ understood this matchup, he has a chance. But I don't know if it's that severe. I doubt it. I doubt it can be. It's not like Kelazur doesn't know how to play this style. Obviously, he's choosing to do so. But it is kind of like, you know, where Kelazur really thrives on micro and getting your opponent out of position with doom drops and all that. Cyclones just don't really appeal to that. Cyclones are kind of like, I had more numbers, I had the better build, so I guess I win.
Yeah. And Kelazur does have the better build and a little bit more Cyclones. So for now, he's just chasing. Even the Hellion might get a kill. Obviously, Hellion's not really good at killing Cyclones. And even Kelazur's Cyclones were blocking it for a bit. Now Kelazur scans. It's like, is this really all you have?
Oh, no.
And now he
really
has to pull back with the CC, because he did drop a third CC
knowing that he was super far behind, he went for a third CC right away. So I guess he skipped on Cyclone production for a bit. And that makes it even worse for him because he tried to go and climb back into this game. But now that he can't mine for his natural, I mean, that Liberator might change everything, but Calazur reacts right away.
Still big denial on the time again, but Calazur, his third CC might have been later. He feels very in control of this game, so he takes it on location, which is going to make up for it. And then the slight contain he had in his opponent also is really good. I do want to commend Wooded Micro for continuing to pressure with these Liberators. He also didn't just fall into the trap of the missile turret, where that was, but he has fallen behind in the Cyclones in a really bad way, and he really needs to just go for it. He needs to pull SCVs and just try and get this done and over with, because otherwise you're going to keep being contained and actually almost losing the command center. That's a lot of repair money.
Yeah, definitely, and even losing a couple of mules that would have been way more useful if they were just able to mine instead of repairing a CC that's flying in the air. And Calazur with this handful of Cyclones just does it. Wooded Microbe will not try to get this game going for himself. It was already too late, and that's now 3-3.
Yeah.
Nobody's seen that coming.
No one saw him beating Cyril, of course. Everyone, I think, expected
Does he beat him
Micro,
twice?
But, right, that is the absolute question. Does he beat him twice? Does Cyril get any win here? Well, I guess it is a best of 3 between them now. So, and we do assume Cyril is going to be the ace player. So, is there even really a need for the countdown?
Yeah, we don't need the countdown. We don't need to agree and then be wrong, because there is not a chance in hell that we're wrong.
He's like, Sigling, I think you got this, broski.
Cyril.
Cyril. Gotta be. So it's best of 3. 1-1 is the score, basically, is what it's coming down to. And we had Neo Violet Square, a mech map, do very well. Went and played with mech. And then we had Catalyst not so much with Bio. So what is our last map? Did we play on Fabio yet? Yes, that was the first map.
That was the first map, the PVZ. The
Blackpink?
weird PVZ. I think Blackpink is the only one that we didn't play.
We're going to find that out
I'm really, really bad at
30
remembering maps for some reason, so...
Yeah. We're going to have to first find out who the player is.
The suspense is killing me.
Is it, though?
So,
okay. Cool.
Thank you.
It is, everyone's saying it's like, Blank versus Cyril, after all, right? He's kind of representing Finland on his back, so.
And, well, tonight he does have an opponent match him.
Yeah.
Calazur.
He absolutely does.
Played like a boss.
I knew Calazur could do it. I just was really afraid he was going to continue playing kind of a stubborn style. So now that he's figured out a way to beat him, does he do it again? Seems like we still have the Brazilian fans out in force, and I hope that a couple other people are now convinced as well, even if they were cheering for Cyril.
It's a 3-3 tied situation. Where is it better to have like 50-50 votes than a 3-3 situation?
It's perfect.
It's perfect. You guys are perfect on the chat. Thank you. Thank you. So, we're still wandering on the map, but we'll see in a couple of seconds. So, Calazur won with mech on a mech map. Lost with Bio on a Bio map, I guess. Right. Or a Bio or...
Oh, Blackpink was the Cyril game, so that's not left over. And Backwater is already played. Eastwatch?
Ah, it's Eastwatch. You're right.
Aha!
It has to be, right? The suspense is killing me, but for real this time. Eastwatch.
Not gonna say anything else.
Production is like, you want me to put Eastwatch? Does that mean it's really Eastwatch or it's not Eastwatch?
Is it? Is it not?
It is Eastwatch. Okay, we can remember 7 maps. Well, at least you can, Jess.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna go there.
I can't.
So this is very interesting then. I think the big problem on this map is tanks, but the other question is, how do you use tanks?
Yes.
Do you go for the bio push, or do you try and actually play mech here? Which I feel I see bio more often. It's also, I feel like the stats are a bit padded for the Terran, also not just because of tanks, but also because it's an easier Supreme late game situation. Ghosts have a lot of avenues to go around and nuke stuff, and there's a lot of bases that you can take and still cover with the chokes that are available. So does Calazur appeal to that? And what does Cyril do on this map? Does he try and mix things up with mutas?
Maybe. We know we can do it. We know we can also add in drops. I feel like that's a map that he would like to abuse a mech player with massive drops in the main. That's what I expect of him. Maybe something more on the Roach Hydra kind of thing, but maybe with the slight twist of the aggression in the main base. That's what could happen, but what we could do is also, you know, sit back, relax, and watch this game as Kelazur spawned in the bottom left as the red Terran for Brazil. Reverse intro.
Yeah, good old reverse intro. On the top right, as the blue Zerg for Finland, he is Cyril.
And this match already gave us, you know, a better scenario than what we expected. But now we still have to know who is going to be in the winner's match. It's still undecided, and it's on the shoulders of those two guys. Kelazur and Cyril have to play this best of one to, to give the victory to their team, to their country, and make it to the winners to go and play against Poland, which will be a really cool match. Sorry, that will happen at tomorrow at 5 p.m. CEST. Just remember, it's not going to be just after that, but it's going to be tomorrow with the broadcast being 2 hours earlier than expected. We had a 2-hour delay today, 2 hour early tomorrow. See?
Makes sense.
That's karma, you know?
Yeah.
You give some, you take some.
That's how it works. It's kind of a scary thought, though, that if Brazil were to win here and then face Poland and then lose, because there would still be a very close nation wars there, that they would potentially have to face Finland again. I mean, defeat Cyril twice is going to be huge for Kelazur, but then if they defeat him 4 times, I mean, that's even bigger, right? So this is going to be a scary group till the end. Anyone who gets out first is going to breathe a sigh of relief. And actually only so much, I guess, because, of course, South Korea got 2nd place, so it's not even like 1st place seed guarantees you that easy nation.
Well, you know, to be honest, I think Korea is quite easy this year.
It's easier.
No, I was just kidding. Just kidding.
Not about easy.
No, I don't know about easy, you know. When there's a Korean flag, it's rarely easy, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
3rd base from Cyril. Well, not yet, because it doesn't have the minerals. The Reaper will try up into the natural, get some damage done. It's the early game tango of the TVZ, just to confirm who micros best, who is the best shape. It doesn't really do anything, right? It's what I find funny about it. It's like the presence of the Reaper makes you want to just, you know, try and shoot down things, but a proper Zerg will never lose anything to it. A proper Terran will not lose the Reaper. It's just here, you know, to flex your muscle a little bit.
Yeah. You can really tell, I guess, how on point someone is when the Reaper just survives forever.
Yes.
As Kelazur is, you know, it's funny. Actually, now I'm thinking on it. He was never really known for the 3 racks. Obviously, he did it back when it was popular, when his Reaper micro was fine. But as much as I think of Kelazur as a drop-style Terran, bio-Terran, micro-Terran, I actually don't immediately equate awesome Reaper micro with him, and I just think that's really weird. But that could just be me. As he does, obviously.
Back then, he was doing a lot of Reapers.
Because everyone was. But I think when I think of the foreigner micro god of Reapers, I actually think of Euthermal.
Yeah.
So I guess he was beat out a little bit by that.
You're right.
Yeah. Anywho.
Oh.
No.
It has to be a fake.
Stop it. It might be. I don't. You know, Roddy was kind of talking about it earlier, and I was like,
yes, Mapu.
He put it back into his bag of build of books, and maybe he'll bring it out again. But so it's just so not useful.
Yes.
Okay, thank God.
High capacity fuel tanks. That's the only time you will ever see this upgrade as part of a fake, even though it's
why though?
Still 100 and 100, right?
Right, because Cloak was reduced. I want to explain. Cloak was reduced in cost at one point a long time ago, right? And so that was worth faking this really useless upgrade because you could actually do so. Now it's not even worth faking it. Like you just get Cloak and cancel if you want to.
It's just for the fans, you know? Just for the fans. Roddy in the green room is like, oh my god, this is a strategy I've been talking to everybody about. No.
And
then he's sad. And then we have a sad Roddy for the end of the night. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Kelazur.
Maybe he gets it later. But it is interesting, not for that, but just that he wasn't going to go for Banshees, you know, and something that he did 2 games, I believe, against Cyril. So now he goes for a Raven. He is going to be going for mech on this map. It worked once, definitely do it again. How is the Raven going to be used? I think it can be really awesome in this. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Because the question of bio against mech has already been answered by Cyril, who was able to get a Zergling into the main and gets a proper scout of the strategy of Kela with double factory added on. There is no question asked. It's going to be mech with only 1 armory once again. The Raven goes the other way, well, at least goes to the edge of the map to get some damage done, probably auto turret harass
Yeah. It's kind of weird for auto turret harassment. Of course, its cast range was reduced to 1 when it was brought back into the game for Appealbot. But it's like, if you're going to harass with the idea of Eastwatch and these just pillars that for some reason are over here, this walls over here, Liberator's usually much better. There even, in fact, even goes down, which is a huge waste of money.
Yep. Quite an expensive unit, this one. And it was just lost for nothing.
This is actually really, really disappointing for Kellozer.
It is.
I mean, the auto turret's never really supposed to do very much. Even before its cast range was 1, I feel like it wasn't the most broken thing in the world, but you asked some Zergs, and it was, I guess.
Yes.
Anyways, but, you know, if you don't get any damage with that, then you can at least use it to clear up creep spread. Of course, it has anti-armor missile now, which is super useful. Interference Matrix can even help with Hellion harassment because there's only a couple queens. Like, it's such a good tool to have, and it just dies immediately.
It's basically losing the Oracle that you build at the early game as a Protoss player, except it's more expensive.
Yeah.
And it's annoying because you have to get a tech lab on this.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So it's like a more annoying kind of Oracle loss, only more expensive. So yes, it is terrible. We would be super critical of a Protoss player losing the Oracle in the early game. So that's quite painful for Kelazur in this early game. That will go for the same exact strategy. Hellions in massive amounts in the beginning. Now see some Thors, 2 Medivacs. Originally they were here to, well, game 1 they were there for, you know, creep spread reduction. They were lost just before a big battle happened. It was not that bad, but what we can see on the side of Cyril is that he went for a slightly faster infestation pit, so he does want to go for Hive way quicker than before.
I think his Hive might have been like a 8-minute or something like that last time. So his Vipers were... They came out as the tanks already sieged up very close to his 4th. And he also kind of helped that by breaking down his own rocks. So that could be an important difference in this game. What might be more important, though, are 2 Swarm Hosts. I mean, I know the 1 Swarm Host mistake.
But what about the 2 Swarm Host mistake? That's quite crazy. Or maybe he just wants Kelazur to believe that there is going to be like 20 so Swarm Hosts, but it's just... I think it's quite interesting that Sal went for that, like, because even if it's a mistake, then... You know, it's an opportunity for Kelazur to keep on doing some work, right? 3 drones just went down. A little bit of damage done in the main. A queen that got a little bit bruised.
I do always like the idea of harassment swarm hosts, but the problem is that they still are... They've been changed so much, but they still too supply heavy. So, like, you really don't want to invest that much into it and then have them just doing nothing. I mean, 4 Locust at a time, is that really going to be able to kill anything? But there are a ton of walls, and I was kind of trying to think of how they could be useful. And the ultimate question, if you make them accidentally, do you kill them? Do you just be like,
Maybe
I don't want
not.
you?
I don't know.
Or do you try and use them?
That'd be actually quite mean, you know?
It is pretty mean, but they sometimes are really useless.
Seriously, those stores. They're doing work. I think it's about like 7 SCVs that went, 7 drones that went down, a couple of roaches in the natural as well. It's 8 drones in total. No, the roaches were not touched.
Too shabby. Viper's on the way though now, and those will be able to abduct them to the Hydras, so they should probably leave. Kelazur once again going for these Hellbat drops. I mean, that's you know, that's why he's been getting so many Medivacs, is that this is his ultimate plan. Does Cyril have a better reaction this time?
Okay, he's going to lose for some roaches for sure. At least 3 will go down. The 4th one, thanks to the Hellbats. And now the tanks will join into the battle. And we've got the Vipers out, but I don't think they've got the energy yet. Nice scan from Kelazur. He knows that the Hydralisk are there. He will be able to siege the tanks. Those two cheeky Swarmers will go to the side.
You know what? I would love if they came from behind. If it was 4 Locusts coming from behind to get the tanks to shoot somewhere else, then that's totally worth it.
And then suddenly we're like, oh my god, Cyril is even more of a god. He could drop the Hellbats right there.
You know, he had gotten some difficult hooks in that Neon Violet Square game, and I kind of wish that he had just gone into Ling Baneling, as the Banelings obviously take care of the Hellbats. You don't drop on a Banelings, that's just asking for trouble. And there's so few tanks that the Lings coming from behind would be even extra deadly. But no, Cyril's still sticking to the Roach Hydra, goes for a bit of a bigger counter this time, not just Lings, but another beautiful hold against that from Kelazur.
Kelazur is playing amazingly this game, and he's the one with the bank. I can't believe that I'm saying that, but in this TVZ against Cyril, he has a little bit more money in the bank, even though he's not maxed out yet. So he needs to slow it down maybe a little bit. 90 supply against the 121, but Cyril, he feels the pressure, man. Like he evacuated every single drone from the gold base and tries to go for, at least, well, he went for a counter-attack. Now he tries to surround the army. The question is, can Kelazur trade well enough? Because this army is almost as good as dead. Those tanks there are quite clumped up, though. You evacuate with tanks?
Cyril's trying to get that surround. He's kind of figured out, though, but at the same time, Kelozer can't quite leave without some damage being taken. And actually, a lot of abducts are used. I do think that was the better call, because you try and run forward on top of the tanks, and that's where the Hellbats did their job last time. So it's kind of taken them almost out of the equation by using the abducts.
Okay, do the Swamos and the Locust get a kill in this game? No, they're actually just chilling.
They're just...
Well, if you could fly, you'd be chilling in the air as well, you know?
Yeah, and then apparently I would die because I'm a Locust, so...
Oh, yeah.
wouldn't last very long. Eventually he should just let these die, as cruel as it is to say.
It is quite cruel.
Yeah, they'll walk into a tank and then they'll die and that'll be it.
Okay, let's see about this fight. Those tanks, they're a little bit clumped up once again. Just avoiding Vikings altogether, right? Like there's not a single Viking in the air. It's like, no, I'd rather have Medivacs to be able to drop a lot of Hellbats directly on the army. Yeah,
you know, I think actually that he still should be afraid of Vipers. Like, I'm kind of seeing why he's less afraid, but I think he should still try and snipe them. One, because just, you know, in general, spellcasters are good, but also that a Parasitic or Blinding Cloud or Parasitic Bomb, I was right the first time, could be quite deadly to this clump.
Okay, so that's 4 or 5 tanks that just got demolished for not that much. I think a couple of Roaches, a couple of Hydralisks at the same time, but now those Vipers, they don't have that much energy. Can Kelozer, you know, speed things up a little bit? He doesn't realize that the Vipers don't have the energy yet, but now he sees the Ray. And he knows that Serral doesn't have the energy yet. 9 drones that just fall. And we're looking at better upgrades. But that's about it in the late game. No Broodlords, no Ultralisks, those Hydralisks and Roaches. They get demolished right there.
I really think Serral's having trouble against this Hellbat style. And it's really not a fault of his. This is the first time I'm seeing this since like Heart of the Swarm, it feels like. Abducts do come forward once again. And, you know, this is where the Hellbats are not involved in the fight. So it looks a little bit better for Serral.
Yeah, but I still think it was a pretty decent trade because that army is just not, you know, just not going back at all on the side of Kelozer. He still has a massive amount. How many are we looking at? 7 Medivacs, so that's 14 Hellbats that can be dropped right away. And those extra bases, well, he can't keep them alive. He just has to forfeit them one after the other.
I really wish that Serral was using Parasitic Bomb after, like, you know, it's taken a long time, right? This engagement's been lasts like a minute. That's a couple of Parasitic Bombs. That's him really seriously considering if he has to go back and repair on them. But now the Vikings are out, and anytime the Vipers dive forward, they could always just simply die, whereas before it would have been a freebie. And this is still a very questionable game, but Serral, he bought a lot more time. He's had more, like, surrounds and multi-pronged attacks, and his counters are finally getting something done, too.
Okay, that's a really good counter, though. Like, as you mentioned, that's the first one that actually made the entire army go back, which means, you know, the last couple of minutes that Kelozer used to just cross the map slowly without taking any bad fights, well, he has to do it again. And the Vipers, they are in even bigger numbers now. We'll use some abducts on the Vikings, only gets 1, so energy-wise, it was not that good for Serral. Well, at least, well, to be fair, not good at all, as the 2 Swamos are still alive, but Kelozer playing that good of a game against Serral and getting some Vipers for free right there. Those Medivacs, they still have some boost, and they will drop right on top of the army. Even the Roaches are getting roasted.
I'm really wondering why he's just refusing to use them. I know it takes quite a few Parasitic Bombs to kill them. I get the idea here, but it just seems like there have been so many opportunities to make them at least very low on their health. But instead, they're continuing to dump those Hellbats on his army, which he clearly doesn't have a strong answer for. His answer is evacuating, letting a base die, and then hoping his counters do equal damage, and they're just not doing that.
See, you know, like even Kelozer going for a scan on the top, the top base, like he wants to know if there's another expansion because he's getting closer and closer to bases that are actually mining. Maybe the tank's a little bit too clumped up here, but he's only using abducts here as the Viking get a proper position, but not that they didn't fire, which is a shame. He would have killed a Viper right away. Still a really tense game. That's so cool to see between Serral and Kelozer. With Kelozer playing a strategy, lots of Roaches and Hydralisks getting roasted for free on the right side, though.
Yeah, every single time these Hellbats are out of the fight, you can see his abducts are just absolutely worth it. But when those Hellbats drop on the Hydras, suddenly it's a very different ballgame. But Serral, I mean, as much as he's kind of avoiding a main fight or losing a big fight, he is, keeping Kelazur down on that supply. They're trading often enough, and he is expanding often enough that he always has somewhere to move the drones. There's like an awesome game years ago. Oh, actually, I got a base with those. Wow.
Yeah, the Swarmhost actually had a purpose in this game.
Apparently, there was an awesome game years ago where a Zerg player just continuously avoided fights and expanded, and eventually the Terran player just kind of like winded himself out. Like he just lost momentum and energy. And that's kind of what's happening here.
Okay, let's see. It's still a tough fight. Like a single bad fight, bad engagement for either of those two players, and it's lights out, I think. I really do feel like it. Like if you lose the Vipers as the Zerg or get too many shots of tanks on your Hydralisk, but at the same time, if Kelazur messes up and sieges a little bit too poorly against those Vipers and gets, blinding clouded or even messes the micro with the Hellbat drop, then you're looking at a totally different game, and we're reaching the 16-minute mark. That's really good for Serral. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely
getting
fantastic.
Those 4 tanks for it. What Hydra?
All the Hellbats weren't even in the medevac, so it's like he really couldn't have helped them out. He does find a base. I would love if Kelazur, considering that he now finally has a bit of a bank accruing, you just had to use it to build those tanks again, but still, I would love if he did add on the next kind of step of Terran evolution. Even though he went mech, you can still see people add on barracks and go for ghosts, run around this map with nukes. You can see them go for liberators too to really get a lot of harassment done. This choke, though.
Oh my god! The Hellbat's being dropped, and he has to evacuate right away because that was... here's the parasitic bomb that you wanted. Oh my god, the damage.
Nice.
That's so many units
I feel like that's so helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, you were right all along.
Wow. I don't know about that. I'm going to trust Serral on his decision-making before I actually trust my own. But still, it is very helpful. More Vikings come forward. He's actually reducing the Hellbat situation, which is turning into a more of a typical mech versus Zerg, which I feel like Serral's going to have a nicer time against.
Oh, Kelazur needs to micro this. If he actually micros this, he will get so many drones, but he's not looking at it as he's moving the army a little bit further. And when you're not looking at an army like this against Vipers, then you can lose a lot of stuff. Cancelled CC, not even getting destroyed. He needs to repair that planetary fortress, but we're looking at +3 Hydralisk, so they will go... the planetary fortress might go down, and it will, I think. Ah, nice.
Nicely done.
See, Serral is adjusting on the fly. It's quite crazy.
This guy's good. I don't know. He's also, I mean, Eastwatch also has so many more avenues, so many ways to get behind. These blinding clouds are pretty effective, and the Hellbats, once again, not involved, but not good enough. Has to pull the drones away. He's going to, well, he wants to prepare to evacuate the base, but it might not even go down. Okay,
we still have 2 hatcheries on the top left that could get mined from on the side of Serral, so he still has plenty of bases, and I think the economical situation is starting to look a little bit grim on the side of Kelazur. He needs a base, maybe the one on the left side, just on top of this base.
Swarmhosts.
Oh, those Swarmhosts.
Serious?
Man, 2 Swarmhosts were actually the key.
He's used them every single time, which is so insane. They aren't being not automatic. Yeah. And he's been target firing with them. Okay. Yeah. 2 Swarmhosts.
The kid's got APM.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
This is a very nice counter once again, finding a big trail of tanks even. These tanks not going to perform too well either. Good trades.
Oh my god, that's at least 7 or 8 tanks, and now the medivacs are not being microed properly, and I feel like Kelazur just gave away way too many units on that last sequence, and he was playing such a perfect game, almost perfect game, ever since the 9th minute mark, but now 19 minutes in, and finally we see a little bit of a real breaking point on the side of Kelazur.
Are you serious? Oh yeah, it seems to be a breaking point. Kelazur had a couple of
13 kills and how much? Sorry.
7. Still.
That's pretty decent,
Yeah, and a couple structures, which is, pretty important too. Serral started just actually not necessarily taking better fights until maybe the past 1 or 2, and there's been many fights in this game, but rather just avoiding the fight, scaring Kelazur, making him pull back, making him lose out in economy, and it has worked for him, but the game is still not over. A new base is down. Serral, though, now onto Broodlords, and Kelazur does not have a lot of anti-air here.
Okay. I thought it was the longest game of hide-and-seek with those Swarmos, but they finally were taken down. But you mentioned the Broodlords. They are here. Yeah, tank run by, late game. You don't really know what to do with those.
Yeah.
And they kill structures quite fast.
They do. There's always that
Except when
chance.
they get hooked.
Always that chance the Army's not in position, and we are like spreading ourselves out very, very thin on Eastwatch. You know, top left, bottom right seems like. But those Broodlords they need to be responded to, and Kelazur was a little late to it. He does now have extra starports and a couple of Thors. Vipers, what are you doing? Okay,
what you doing, Vipers?
That's a scary army for Kelazur to see.
He might use abducts, even a single or a couple Vikings if he takes them out. It's so good for the Broodlords. Now he has to unsiege for a moment because he will kill his own units. I think you want to get like you want to get those Hellbats going though.
This is
the Broodlings out of the way.
Yeah, like the Hellbats can actually make him last a very long time. It's the friendly fire from the tanks that's going to destroy him, though, once Cyril really feels confident pushing. And it's a tough decision here. Either you have enough Thors that doesn't matter if they abduct a few, or you have enough Vikings in a concave that doesn't matter if the parasitic bombed. But Kelazur doesn't really have either one going for him here.
I think there's like more Vipers, or at least there used to be more Vipers than Vikings, which is a major issue here for Kelazur.
Right.
We'll lose a couple more. Will the Viking get that last Viper? That's nice. That's already, that's only 3-4 Vipers remaining as the Broodlords try to get closer and closer. We see a Raven transition, but it looks a little bit late for me to do this because he still doesn't have anything to counter those Broodlords with. He has 2 Tors. And that's about it.
That is really it. If his tanks continue to focus fire on the ground army, then and only the Broodlords left over, there's maybe a chance, but it's so difficult to do. It's literally like spamming on the tanks the entire time. He doesn't have enough gas either, which is a big problem. He couldn't produce both Thors and Ravens and Vikings. Like, he's trying to run by, maybe get a base here, which is actually a really good use of the tank run by. He will find a base, but obviously a huge chunk of an army to throw away, and that's not enough. GG.
GG, well played, and Finland takes it against Kelazur. I feel like we've been, robbed of a real engagement to finish this game off.
Yeah.
But both of them played an amazing game, and kudos to Kelazur. I mean, not playing his own, classical style. He goes for something that's quite cute that he obviously worked a lot on with the Medivac, with the Hellbats and stuff like that. But yeah, you give 10 minutes to Cyril, I guess you could say 2 games. But into that second game, he was, playing the same way as before, and it wasn't working, And at some point, he started adjusting, using a little bit more abducts, and especially parasitic bomb against those Vikings and Medivacs. But what a cool game from those 2 guys.
It was super cool. I'm glad to see Kelazur bringing out a different type of mech, but it just started to run out of steam as his bases started to get cut. He didn't expand maybe as fast as he should have, and Cyril that was kind of his game plan, was to expand very quickly. So he always had some place to send the drones, as every time he could, he took advantage of the lack of Hellbats in fights. Whenever he was forced to take a fight with the Hellbats, that's when it looked bad for Cyril.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's just a really cool 20-minute game of TVZ between a hypermobile army on the side of Zerg and a really cautious Terran that tried a lot of different things and kept on pushing for 5 minutes. But it really looked like that single run by with the Roaches and Hydralisk towards the 3rd base really made a difference, because that's the moment where all that that progression you made on the map just goes to nothing, because you have to pull back, or else you lose a base, you lose factories. Also, this run by was nice.
This was all quite nice. It actually kind of started, I think, with the tanks being cleaned up in the middle of the map that we saw like 2 clips ago, where I feel like that was when he was starting to accrue a bank, and then he had to replace it. Then immediately after that, he lost the command centers. Like, had he had 5 or 6 bases and a ground army, I think he has like a world of possibilities where he could go Mass Viking, go into Raven, or go into Ghosts. And instead, he was kind of cut at the exact moment where he was probably thinking of doing it. So obviously, it was too late for the Broodlords.
Yeah, no, but what a great game from both Kelazur and Cyril. But in the end, it's the Finnish player that got the win, and that's what we all expected. We expected Finland to do it, but we expected it a little bit easier, Ajin.
Yeah, nobody's expected a 4-3.
Yeah,
even Sarah said 4-2 in the interview. So it was a really surprising, but like really enjoyable game. It was quite close, I think.
Oh yeah, it was.
Oh, for sure.
Oh yes.
But GG and Finland takes the game here and they advance to the winners match, and they will face Poland tomorrow. Let's take a look at the bracket of Group Poland. So Poland won against Ukraine earlier today, 4-2, and now Finland won against Brazil. So tomorrow from 5 p.m. we will begin with the winners match.
Yeah.
So Poland, Finland tomorrow at 5 p.m. and they will play the and then we'll play the lower bracket with Ukraine and Brazil.
Yeah, tomorrow is Six City, guys. It is a really good day of StarCraft and Nationwide. I think like 3 best-of-7s that we will get to play, and well, we mentioned it earlier. Group Poland was quite stacked, and we could see a lot of different scenarios. Even though Finland was usually at the top of that hierarchy, with those other teams, I think Ukraine and Bly especially made a pretty good showing today against Poland. Brazil made an amazing show, showed something really good against Finland as well. So I'm really looking forward to tomorrow's game.
Yeah, Ukraine and Brazil kind of coming out in force and saying, like, this isn't an easy group, not as easy as you guys predicted. The results still reflect what everyone was thinking, I suppose, but the game certainly did not.
I'm afraid for Poland, actually.
I don't know. I don't know if I am. I feel like because they have a deep race lineup. And like they're a little bit safer, whereas obviously Killser only has to worry about Serral for Finland and kind of like vice versa.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. It's going to be an interesting day tomorrow, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
And the interview is ready now to speak with the Finnish players.
Do we have everybody?
For this.
Oh,
we 2 out of 3.
We have Jigliang and Serral. GG, congratulations, guys. How do you feel, Serral?
I feel great. Not the best games. I mean, I think Killser played actually pretty well, so nothing to take away from him. But yeah, pretty happy with the results, even though we lost a bit more maps than I was thinking at first. But yeah.
Were you feeling confident during the whole last game you played against Killser, because it was pretty close?
No, I mean, I think I was losing pretty hard. I think if he managed to take one more base at some point, and like when he was pushing me, I think I would have lost. But
yeah. It was tough. I don't really know how to place you in this game. Are you really ahead? Are you really that behind or something? But it was definitely a really close game. And it looked like the moment you pushed the army away when you went for that counter attack on the third base made you like breathe a little bit more. You know, it's like, okay, he's not on my end right now. I can take some more bases. It was really nice of you, especially considering the style that Killser used. Like, is there were you surprised about that, resurgence of Hellbat drops in a mech composition like this?
I mean, U-Thermal has been using this for a while already, so I wasn't really surprised. Maybe the first game, I always get a bit surprised when the first Hellbats drop, but I mean, I have played against this before. But, I mean, it's a very good style, and I kind of wanted to play a bit aggressive all of these games, but I never really found the window to do that, so I kind of had to play defensive. And then when I managed to do the counterattacks, it worked out pretty well.
All right.
Very interesting. Yeah, I was going to ask them the exact same question. It's interesting that U-Thermal's also been using it. All right, so for Zigling, hello.
Hello.
That's the first time we see you this season, right? That's the first time you're on camera. Where is the the Star Wars song? Where's the?
Okay, we can do something small. We can do something small.
We want to see.
Go for it. I wish you would have started with it, but now go, please. Show me something.
Okay. Hello, my name is Mr. Measy. Look at me.
Can do.
Before the match, Sarah was like, "Do you want to play some bad DVP maps?" And then Mr. Measy answered, "Sure, can do."
Yes, can do.
And I had to play some bad DVP maps, and Neon Violet and Eastwatch were pretty bad in the end for Zerg as well.
Yeah.
But I think we played the map vetoes pretty smart, and I'm happy that we edged out the win.
Yeah, so you played your first game against Turkey Dano on Genesis. What did you think of his builds? Like, what do you think what was going through his mind?
I'm not sure how to put it. Well, we just studied all of their players really well, and we just looked at all the VODs we could, and he's shown this build before, and I was expecting it, and I just went for an easy counter, and there was nothing too special.
Okay, you scouted super early, you know it's coming, and you know how to counter it, basically, right?
Yeah.
Not that much to be said about that game. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I have Wooded Microbe he played today. What happened to the Moss Zero?
I can answer that question. So Moss Zero is going to university right now, and they have test week going on, and tomorrow he has an exam.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tomorrow is the Mazero will be done with his exam, or are we going to see?
Yeah, I think the games are played during the evening, and he lives in the campus, so it should be fine.
Okay. So we can expect to see him because we haven't seen him yet.
Right.
The whole tournament.
Now Cyril's come out and usually done the trick, although maybe it was a little closer this time. So you guys will go on to face Poland in the winners match, which I guess a lot of people expected, although it was a little bit dicier than perhaps people thought. What do you guys think about Poland's team? I guess we'll go Cyril first.
I think the team is pretty strong. I'm very confident in my CVC ability, so I'm not. To be honest, I'm not that worried.
Yeah. Well, because you said.
But yeah, I think Eraser and Nerds are very hard to win both. So.
Well,
I don't think it's gonna be an easy match.
Yeah, it's Soul is playing.
Nerds is not playing anymore.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Yeah, so you did mention this in the preview, I suppose, where like Lasers in Korea and CVZ is fine, but Ziglang, do you think that you'll be able to help out Cyril here against Poland, or is it maybe still too strong of a lineup?
No, I don't think I'll be able to help out at all.
No, come on. Zuge. So what you guys need to know is that Zhuge Liang is the most active person I've ever seen around, Nation Wars activity. Like, he spams me on Skype literally every 2 weeks, and now you tell me that if you go up against Poland, you're not up to the task? Or is this strategy
Maybe it's just mind games.
Yeah, mind
games. Okay.
Old Velmo style, like. We have to trick them, with these interviews. We have to start playing the game already now.
Smart.
Nice.
I see. Do we have anything else, guys?
I don't think so. Do we have any last words for your fans? Or you want to say something to the Polish players?
Cyril, I guess.
You can do it.
Oh, no, okay.
No, you can do it.
The trash talk. Go.
There's going to be a much better ceremony tomorrow. It's just too late right now. And I don't wanna like drag the show too long, so stay tuned.
Production says thank you. All right, anything in Finnish? I want to hear some Finnish.
Hyvää päivää. Right.
Wait.
Hyvää yötä. That's it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much for the interview.
I like it.
Congratulations on your win, and see you tomorrow in the winners' match against Poland at 5 p.m.
Thanks, goodbye.
Full screen on Zhuge Liang,
There we go.
Just in case he has like a last-second ceremony, we want to see it.
I thought he was going to bring out Mr. Meeksies and be like, can you help me with my my ZVT? Can you help me build Killazur?
Sure do.
Sure can. And later on, it's like, oh, he's trying.
He's trying. Okay, well, a Finnish lineup that goes to the winners match. That's what we expected. The way it happened, a little bit more difficult. I like it. If it's an easy run to the top 8 or top 4 or whatever for Finland, is that really interesting? Should we play the games?
Nah.
No. People are there.
It's better
they
like
fight
this.
back.
I was really interested in Cyril's answer about the mech that he faced. It's very cool to hear that Ethermal's also been using this, and maybe it'll be the future. But apparently Cyril's already starting to figure it out.
Yeah.
What a god.
And now the opponents of Netherlands on the last group, they're actually fine because they give information away.
That's true.
Yeah, Ruddy is mad right now. I can feel how mad he is.
I wonder if they have equipped with their portraits, the players. Can we see that in the game?
Yeah, we can. I think most of them did. And yesterday I played a couple of ladder games, and I've got a lot of those guys, and they were all spotting.
And do they sometimes use sprays? Because I've never used sprays.
Yes. Well, didn't we have? Wasn't the cheese spray in Nation Wars? Where someone was cheesing and they put on his cheese spray?
It was during Nation Wars, yes.
Yeah,
it's not a Nation Wars spray, but.
The nuke one is the Nation Wars
spray.
We should see that.
I want to see that.
Yeah.
Early TVZ, like just 20 minutes before the nukes actually land, you drop a nuke here, spray, obviously.
Okay, so tomorrow we'll have Poland, Finland to begin with at 5 p.m. and then we'll play the losers bracket, losers round.
You can say losers, it's okay.
The
lower
lower bracket.
They're not listening going like, she's calling us losers.
Oh my god.
between Ukraine and Brazil. And what could we expect from this match?
Oh, that's actually really tough because I thought maybe Kelzer would just go down to Cyril twice, and I was like, well, he's doing okay, but not great. But no, he's actually playing some very cool TVZ, which obviously Bly is still kind of the biggest contender for Ukraine.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, I might give it to Brazil now.
Yeah, I might. I know Poland said earlier, well, I think Mana did say that he expected Ukraine maybe to take, well, considering how good Bly is in those kind of formats, you know, best of ones with lots of importance behind the games, right? And that's something that he does super well because he's so experienced. But today, I was positively surprised by how Kelazur was able to play, and if he can bring that to the table tomorrow, I think Brazil as well.
Okay, that'd be really nice. And tomorrow we'll find out the 2 other nations joining Italy, Norway, Mexico, and South Korea in round of 8. And thanks a lot, O Gaming, Blizzard Entertainment, Omen BHP, and Macherino. See you tomorrow, guys, at 5 p.m.
See
Bye.
ya.